My hands stable, turn the tables, I could just keep moving, keep your hands on the stupid. I feel new, I can see the end, I can see my future, my future. It's right there for the taking, everything I've ever wanted, I just gotta fight for it, willing to die for it.
Hey, greetings from the year 3000, it's still sucks. It's still J. Fry, and you're listening to the Drunken Turkey Show. Your one stop for this sort of thing. Hit that button, like and subscribe. You know what to do. You know what to do. Like every other podcast.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Drunk Turkey Show. I'm Daniel, alongside with me, as always, Big Blue. How you doing, my man?
Doing good, man. Doing good. You know, just enjoying my day. Just hoping I got a couple of days off, so I'm relaxing, you know.
Nice. You gonna drink with me tonight, my man?
Yes, sir. In a few minutes, I'm gonna go get my drink.
What's on the menu for you?
I'm gonna get a Red Bull vodka.
Nice. That's a good way to wake up. Get your day going. I'm drinking a beer, man. I'm gonna have a couple of them. The first one I just popped is called a Taco Tuesday. It's a margarita style beer. Tastes pretty good. It's from the 11 Below Brewing Company out in Texas. 4.7 alcohol, 13 IBUs. I'm not sure what that means, but tastes all right. I like it. It's got a green can, so it kind of turns invisible a little bit. But I like it.
I might change it up for some Buchanan's. I saw a bottle of Buchanan's in my kitchen too.
All right. So we've been talking about Delphi and the Delphi case, you know, for some time now, right? And here recently, the defense has come out with this, what do you want to say, this narrative that there is some type of realistic, sadistic, cultish angle to this. And they've come out with some pictures of some drawings of what would appear to be ruins, things of that nature. And they described them. Let me reframe that or re-say that. The defense described sticks and branches that were on the bodies that they basically stated were ruins and part of this ritualistic stuff. And one of the main guys that they point to, well, there's two. One is Brad Holder, and the other one is Pat Westfall. Now, Pat Westfall was on a YouTube channel called Sleuth Intuition. He's been on it twice. And here recently, he was on it again. He said a few things. And tonight, I want to pull up some of the things that he said, and we can react and talk about them and give our opinion about, you know, the answer of the question and things of that nature. And after the show, we'll be putting in the link to the video. That way you guys can go check it out. Blue, have you seen it? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I've seen about a good 30 minutes at the beginning, and then I had to start working on some stuff, so I caught a little bit in the middle. I was trying to do it all in between.
Got you. You know, I think I forgot to unmute this, so I hope it didn't have like this crazy
echo. It had an echo in the beginning. Yes.
Dang it. I apologize, y'all.
Man, he changed it to an echo, but it's a little too much, but
no, it's because I had this in the background and I forgot to mute it. So it's my mistake. I apologize for anybody who's watching this on the replay or hearing the live that had to endure the echo song. I apologize. All right, so let's listen to this and give our 2 cents.
Let me add this. So this is why I thought you were a scary guy. If anything in this is true, it's very disturbing, right? What she has to say. Have you had a chance to read this?
Pretty sure I did.
Okay, let's see. So what happened was Richard Allen's defense team, they're getting ready. They were trying to suppress evidence. They wanted to get the search warrant thrown out. And while doing that, these were supporting documents that they wanted to show the court. Somehow they got leaked. I think they did it on purpose, obviously, right? But we're going to go through some of those.
So some people are asking, who is that? So the Sleuth Intuition is a guy that has his own YouTube channel. He's been covering the Delphi case, and he managed to get Pat Westfall on his channel and do 2 interviews. And so what we're watching is the interview between Sleuth Intuition and Pat Westfall that just happened a couple of days ago. And like I mentioned, Patrick Westfall is one of the main focal points for the defense as far as the Odinite angle. And he's basically the main guy. I mean, they go into details about Holder's wife mentioning to him that Patrick was the guy that was responsible for it and things of that nature. So just to kind of clear that up. Now, for those on the audio side only that can't hear or see who they are, the more smoother voice is Sleuth Intuition, and the more raspier voice is Patrick Westfall. All right, let's continue.
Those pages that have to do with our guest today, and he's going to give us his side of things. But it says here, find attached a copy of said photograph marked Exhibit 38. I think I have that photo. I think it's you and Brad sitting by a fire or something.
Yeah, it was in my backyard in Delphi.
Yeah, I think I have that. We'll take a look. On the Odin report, that Westfall appears 10 times in pictures that Holder posts on Facebook prior to February 13th, 2017. However, after February 13th, Westfall does not appear in any of Holder's posed photos. What happened to the friendship of Brad Holder and Patrick Westfall? Amber Holder tells a very disturbing story. Now, it says this is on page 9 of the Odin report. It says, as can be viewed on page 9 of the Odin report, Amber told law enforcement the following. Brad spoke of Patrick one time when he was intoxicated and said that he and Patrick got into a fight and they no longer speak to each other. He told her that he and Westfall were in the woods near a river conducting a ritual. One of them said or did something that the other did not agree with, and they no longer talk to each other. She said the river was near Patrick's house. No, Brad has a Facebook post with him and Patrick together on January 21st. So you kind of explained what was really going on with that, right?
Yeah, in our phone call, whenever we did our ensembles, our ceremonies, our get-togethers for the kindred at the house, and it was always at my place. We did it once in a park in Lebanon as a kind of a more central point for other people come in. We tried to share the distance driving, make it fair for everybody, but they were normally in my house, like this picture here, man. It's not sitting in the backyard by a fire. But as far as traveling out to woods and going out in nature, like deep nature near live running water and stuff, we never went out there to do this stuff. We had piles of kids with us, and transportation would have just been insane. We didn't have no 15-pack van or anything to haul people around with. So, we met at certain locations and we just stayed there, and they were always in town at my house, or like I said, that one time at the park in Lebanon, but there's no woods and rivers and stuff like that. When we got into it, it was at my house in my living room. It wasn't out in the woods doing some ceremony.
So real quick, he's saying that this Odinite stuff is basically a family ordeal, right? I want you guys to take note of that there's kids going out there and all these things. And I'll show you guys why later. But yeah, this is something that I wanted to bring that up. Big Blue, what are your thoughts on that children are going out to these events? I mean, he's going to make it sound like it's just like any other church.
Yeah, I mean, I think like the way he put it, because I did watch a little bit into it. I think that they do allow like children and women, but when they do certain things, it's only the higher ups that can, participate. So I think in the beginning, they can have like gatherings with families and stuff like that to try to bring more members in. When they do some more serious stuff, it's only certain people that are allowed to be there. I think you're on mute.
The part that I'm referring to is where, like, later on, we're going to find out that, he has to take a patch off of somebody. Now, it doesn't get into descriptions of what that may or may not look like, but he kind of describes it similar to like a motorcycle gang. That's a very typically an intimidating type of thing, right? They talk about who can be allowed into the club, and specifically race, and which races aren't, and if they approve of, interracial relationships. And the reason why I bring that up is, like, not only are they doing these cookouts and all these other stuff with their kids, but they're also influencing them with that type of thought process, that type of the violence there as well that could possibly come out of it. He says that basically. Well, I'll let him say it. Let's rewind just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean,
locations, we just stayed there, and they were always.
What's that, Blue?
I say in those kind of, I guess, religions, yeah, they do teach the children young, even if it's not the right moral thing to do, but they're gonna teach them anyways, because they
Right.
groom them when they're children.
I mean, here's the thing. One of the aspects, or one of the things that the defense is saying about this avenue was that that the statement was made that one of the victim's parents or mothers was in an interracial relationship, which is why their lives were taken, right? That was the motive behind it. Now, we had Rick Snay on. He mentioned to us that the white nationalist type of stuff, the racist type of things do exist out there. And do you think that it kind of maybe gives a little bit of weight to the defense's narrative?
Yeah, I mean, but the defense is gonna throw everything out there to try to put some of the blame on somebody else. But yeah, it does give a little bit of a light, like a little silver lining to it.
Right, because that's basically the motive, right? The motive is, according to the defense, was because one of the parents was in an interracial relationship. And he's coming out saying that him and his guys don't agree with interracial relationships. So you kind of see where those dots kind of connect.
Oh yeah, I see.
All right, let's continue.
In town at my house, or like I said, that one time at the park in Lebanon, but there's no woods and rivers and stuff like that. When we got into it, it was at my house in my living room. It wasn't out in the woods doing some ceremony by a river. He was starting to be untruthful about a lot of stuff. I would hear stories from people about how, he would claim to save my life in Afghanistan on numerous occasions, diving on me in guard towers while rockets were flying through, just off the wall crap. And one day his boy texted one of my kids and said, well, we're running late today. We'll be there in a little bit. And it's because we're at church. And so from there, I confronted him at my house about the whole church issue, going to church and then coming to my house and playing also true, and told him, man, can't be in both worlds with me, dude. Pick one or the other. If you want to go and do the Abrahamic stuff, feel free. As long as it makes you a better person, go do that. If you want to be over here doing this with me, then do this with me, and we'll make it happen. And he's like, well, I guess I'll just go ahead and split then. And that was it. There was no fight, screaming, arguing, body slamming, anything like that. It was two dudes talking in my living room, and he went on his way, and I let him go on his way in peace. He never even came back to my house to collect a book bag and some leather working stuff, hole punches and twine to make, things out of leather with, and never spoke to the man again. Not a phone call, Facebook, nothing.
Okay, let me see what else she had to say here. Amber Holder tells a second and equally no, this is the real disturbing stuff she had to say about you. And it really kind of put some fear in me. Let's see. When interviewed the second time, Amber discussed another conversation that she had with Brad Holder. She had gone to Brad Holder's house to visit him while the children were upstairs, inquired about Patrick Westfall under the ruse that Amber's girlfriend had a date with Patrick. That is what it contained on page 10 of the Odin report. So it says here, Brad became very nervous and told her that she needed to stay away from Westfall or she would end up dead. She said that Brad told her Westfall and his crew, your crew, was responsible for the murders of the girls in Delphi and a fire that killed 2 girls. So they're trying to tie in the Delphi here. Of course, it's not 2 girls, it's 4 girls. I asked her if she knew of the fires in Flora that killed 4 girls, and she said she was not familiar with any fires that killed any children until Brad mentioned it today. She said Brad may have been talking about that fire, but had the number of killed wrong. She said Brad told her that Westfall and his crew had friends in several states, and they have no problem killing race traders, and asked her to clarify race trader. And she said she believed it meant white people who mix with other races. Amber said that Brad told her that Westfall belonged to a group called the Vinlanders, which was true at the time, right?
Yeah, that was probate at the time. Yeah.
And what is 22? I haven't seen it. I haven't heard of that.
Support club, man. Firm 22, letter V. It's just our support club. Firm 22 was just supporter.
You said, did he say the letter V? Let me rewind that.
Yeah, he did.
Well, the defense is claiming there's a V found on Libby's body. Like they're describing the branches as a V.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? What do you think about that?
I mean, the branches were placed in a specific way, so they have access to the actual photos. They can tell them. I don't think they would lie in court documents like that because they can bite them in the butt later.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're having a little bit of weight to it.
Right. Well, let me pull this back up quick. So this is the drawing that Rick Snay had made, and this is the V right here. This is Libby's body, and supposedly the V is coming from this larger branch that is going towards the middle of between her legs, and then this branch up here kind of almost coming together with that branch. And in the defense's paperwork, it describes it as a V. Like, what do you think about that? Do you think that's just a coincidence?
No, I mean, it kind of looks like a V at one angle, but to me, it looks more like, I don't know, it looks more like an H or something, or like they're trying to do some kind of star figure with them trying to cross in the one body. The other one looks more like a.
So here's some context that we need to know. So the branch that's going across the neck was apparently, I think it was like 4 small branches or something like that. And what it appeared to do was to cover up the wounds. And I think it was underneath. I could be wrong. Maybe they went over, but they were trying to explain that that was a V, right? Do you think that they're trying to connect these dots?
Well, I'm pretty sure they are trying. You know, their goal is to try to get Richard Allen off with even if he can be proven to be there with a lesser plea, a lesser sentence because he didn't act alone is what they're saying. So now if he says, "Oh yeah, I was there, but I didn't take the girls' lives. I didn't do anything. I just walked them across the bridge." I mean, it still was part of it. But right. I don't know. Now it seems like it's more than just a one-person job with all the evidence that they're putting out there.
Now, here's the one thing I will say about this picture, or the way the bodies are positioned. So apparently, according to Rick Snay, Abby had her hands, I think, like the way they described it was like in the sweater, but like trying to do like the chicken dance, right? If you only had one person, trying to pick up the body, putting the arms like that in this position would be easier for somebody to come from behind lift up and walk backwards, right? And then when you get to the position that you want, let's say you are moving them, you get to a position where you want, and maybe you turn them sideways or you go back just a little bit, that's going to cause one of the legs, could cause one of the legs to bend behind the other in this manner. So, when I was looking at that, I was thinking about it, and I was like, I think that's possible. And with Libby, she's a little bit heavier. Maybe he couldn't really, pick her up or get behind her and do the same thing. Grabbing her by the arm and dragging her, which they did say that there was drag marks on that one, right? Dragging her would cause like the leg to go out this way and the arm to be stretched out in that manner. The only thing that would probably be different would be the way the head is pointing. I would assume that if something's being dragged, it's lifted up slightly, so the head would probably turn downward, towards gravity. But unless they pulled her from the foot.
So the thing that I don't get, like, I would have to see how the drag marks look. But to me, that big pole, it could have been used to move the bodies. You know what I mean? It's a lot of people use that method to move stuff in the woods when something's too heavy. You put it on a piece of wood and it slides easier. So I wonder if that could be one of the reasons why the big pole is there, but I don't know about the other ones. But it does have, I think to me, it does have a meaning. There's a reason why they placed them that way.
Well, I suspect, I'll get it out there. I'll say that I think that Richard Allen had a part in this. And the reason why I say that is basically because he put himself there. And there was some girls who took a picture at a bench before they exited the trail, right? And that picture was timestamped at 1:27. So I understand that, Richard Allen might claim that he got there at, 12 o'clock and left at 1:30. He mentioned seeing multiple girls walking out of the trail. I know some people are going to say, well, he said 3 girls. In reality, there was 4. Well, he was also looking at his phone, according to him, also in a rush, according to the girls, and not looking at them, didn't even acknowledge them saying hi. So if he's looking down, checking a stock tracker, and he's not really paying attention to these girls walking out, or let's just say he doesn't want them to see his face, he's going to turn down and away.
Yeah.
So is it possible he only saw 3 and maybe he missed the 4th one? I think so. I think that's more logical than saying that he was there at 12:30, ran into 3 girls who haven't come forward, right? They haven't come forward because they don't know who these 3 girls are before them. Ran into 3 other girls at the entrance of the trail, left at 1:30 or by 1:30. And these other girls who took a picture of themselves on a bench at 1:26 didn't run into him. They ran into somebody else at 1:30 while they were exiting. But those guys, those girls that were on the trail that took that picture at 1:26, they had been on that trail for a while. They never saw somebody matching Richard Allen's description until they were leaving the trail. So he was there. He was there, and he's the person walking in. Now, if he, if the other witnesses, and I understand that there's this big old debate that, one person saw a tan, one person saw a blue jacket, one person saw this, one person saw that. Eyewitness testimony is incredibly unreliable. 2 people seeing the same thing and not really paying attention to it because there's no reason to. Well, they'll describe 2 different things. For instance, the 3 juveniles that walked out. One described the guy wearing a blue jacket and one described the guy wearing a black jacket. Right? You got to be paying attention If you're not paying attention and you're just going about your day, eyewitness testimony can be extremely unreliable. You know, everything from height, weight, race has been wrong just by eyewitness testimony. You know what I'm saying? Now, if it's a situation where, you know, things are going kind of crazy, or somebody's telling you something pretty horrific, right? Like 9/11, everybody remembers where they were, right? Those type of situations, you know, a parent passing, things like that. I bet, you know, if you had that happen, you remember where you were and how, you know, the information and everything when you got the news. So, you know, those things are different because they're preparing, you know, they're alert, you know, the information that's coming in, they're ready for. Seeing somebody on a trail isn't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, in my opinion, oh boy was on the trail. Now, Elvis Fields is interesting because he told his sister on the 14th, the day after, that he had done something and was going to go away for a very long time, and then admitted to being, you know, one of 3 people who committed this crime against Libby and Abby. He told that to his sister, who then went and took a lie detector test and passed said lie detector test, you know, and he also had information about the scene that nobody knew about. Like, he said that he put horns on Abby, and it's been described that Abby had horns. So, get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Let's continue this. So, you have any questions or comments about it, Blue, before we continue this?
No, I just want to say, you know, that sorry, not at all. That by him admitting that to his sister and her passing the lie detector test, you know, that to me is another good sign that Richard Allen didn't act alone. But the other guy's not saying who was there. That's the thing. Now, if they get him and maybe they get a print off something or a shoe print, and you know, maybe make a deal.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're gonna turn on each other if they ever find out which 3 were there. If there were 3 of them,
Mhm.
well, I'm pretty sure one will say, "Hey, I didn't do anything. I just stood there, you know, see who gets the plea deals and see what actually happened." Because you know, at the end of the day, 2 innocent girls lost their lives. It's a sad story overall.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Angel D says, sounds like they were trying to set up Elvis, in my opinion. And perhaps, you know, I thought about that with the statement that he had made, that if there was, you know, his spit was on one of the girls, that he could explain it. I think maybe perhaps somebody told him the details of the scene, and maybe told him that they put his spit on there. I don't know. But, you know, he supposedly didn't have the highest of IQ according to the defense. You know, he had, I think, the intelligence of a 7 or 8 year old, according to the defense. So let's continue this.
Killing race traders, and asked her to clarify race trader, and she said she believed it meant white people who mix with other races. Amber said that Brad told her that Westfall belonged to a group called the Vinlanders, which was true at the time, right?
Yeah, I was probate at the time. Yeah.
And what is 22? I haven't seen it. I haven't heard of that.
Support club, man. Firm 22, letter V. It's just our support club. Firm 22 was just supporters and people that would never be in the club, but still wanted to hang out and support and go places and do things with the club.
It's part of the Vinlanders.
Yeah, it's the support side. Women, children, you know, dudes that wouldn't make the cut and get in, they're stay supporters.
So he said something interesting. He said that it was the supporters. These are people trying to get in. That was what the 22, which was the letter V. According to the defense, Elvis Fields was trying to get into the Vinlanders. He was wanting to be one of those guys. He was basically copying what Holder was putting out on his Facebook account. You know, Holder put out a picture of guns and other items. He put out pictures of the same thing, you know, etc. So I kind of am understanding why the defense is feeling like there is a certain avenue here. Now, is it possible that, you know, this person or persons committed this crime to impress, or I don't know, you know, they found somebody that possibly was an interracial relationship and thought that it would impress these guys if they did something about it? I don't know. You can't put reason sometimes to things that are unreasonable.
Okay, let's see here. Brad told her that Westfall had many people backing him up and powerful friends. Said that Brad was very nervous while telling her these things and was whispering, like, you know, like there's somebody listening outside the door. Like he was fearful somebody else would hear him. She said that throughout the conversation, Brad was constantly telling her to stay away from Westfall. He also told her that Patrick had killed.
So what do you think about all that he just said, Blue?
Yeah, I listened to that part earlier, so
I'm just kidding. No, but I do want to say this. When you got up, was it to go get a drink?
Yes, sir.
Woohoo! I thought so, my man. There it is.
I got the Buchanan's pineapple, which most people in Texas call it bucanas, or Mexico call it bucanas. And then I mixed it with a little bit of agua de coco. So coconut water.
I don't know what that is, but it sounds good.
Coconut water, man. I've been on a coconut water kick.
So here's the one thing that I just mentioned to everybody. Patrick Westfall stated that the 22s were the letter V were supporters, perhaps people wanting to get into the club. Elvis Fields in the defense's paperwork is basically described as that, as a person who wants to get into the club. Now, I'm not saying that Patrick Westfall or is involved or any of those things, but it does connect some dots about Elvis Fields.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
He's the one that wonder how come they haven't brought him in for interrogation. Maybe they have, but took him.
They did. They did.
Yeah.
They brought him in, and he said when they were leaving, you know, if my spit was found on one of the girls.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah. I remember that now. He told the investigator. But I guess maybe they haven't brought him put him on a lie detector to see if it was true or not. If he did that.
That'd be interesting. Let's continue this.
Told a lot of people, and it didn't matter if they were innocent or not. Amber truly believes Brad is scared of Westfall. So, I mean, anybody reading that sounds pretty scary, dude.
You ain't kidding, man. Like, first time I was reading that, it was like, damn, dude, like, I let this guy go in peace. You know, didn't cause no fuss about the way he was acting at my house and all the lies I was finding out about our trip over in Afghanistan together. And it kind of blew me away when I read that. I had no idea this whole time since the start of this stuff in Delphi, all the way up to the memorandum was released. I had no idea that man ever even made a statement about me, let alone this kind of a statement.
Well,
and the whole sitting in the room whispering like the walls are bugged and biked with. That's odd.
Well, this isn't proof. This isn't proof that Brad said it. This is her saying that Brad said it. So
I get that. But I mean, and if she said it and that's the words out of his mouth and it was verified by polygraphs and stuff, you know, I ain't going to just say anything about what she said, but it just blows me away that Brad would even go and tell people about that.
Do you believe him?
Man, it's hard to believe, man.
Like, do you believe that do you find him believable?
That he's not guilty or that he wasn't there?
You know, about the statement, you know, in general, like basically about what Brad Holder was saying to his wife.
Yeah. I believe that Brad was telling his wife. Sometimes when people have a few past go, they start telling the truth and they can't stop themselves.
Right. But what I'm saying is Patrick Westfall is saying that it's a lie. Do you find him convincing as far as do you think Brad Holder is lying, or do you think that Patrick Westfall is lying? Because one of them is.
Yeah. I would say Patrick Westfall 9.
Do you think that his actions are? Does he seem truthful to you?
I mean, certain things are truthful, like when he's saying how they're not friends no more, they had a disagreement, and how certain things were, always in the backyard. But that kind of sounds like the truth. But um, I know there's a lot of when rituals and stuff are done, they're never done really in the backyard. They're always done at sites, like sometimes holy sites and stuff like that. So I'm not sure how this ritual works, but and that religion
Right.
works.
I want to know what you guys think. I want to know what you guys think in the chat. Put a 1 if you think he's believable, or he comes off as truthful. Put a 2 if you think that he's lying. I just kind of want to see what you guys' thoughts are. If you guys can, if he looks like he's telling the truth or not. 1 if he's truthful, 2 if he's lying.
If you blended this with ice, it'd be a perfect pina colada.
Would it now?
Yeah.
I need to get some. I need to get another drink. I'll be right back. Blue, take over the show for a second.
Alrighty. Hey guys, we got a lot of 2s in there. And 1.5. So let me see. No, it's not that easy to do something like that. I would say they would haunt somebody for a long time if they did something like that. Half the people that end up being incarcerated because they did something is because they couldn't keep their mouth closed. They had to tell somebody. They were eating them alive, so they had to say something that they did something bad when they did cause somebody's life to get lost.
Yeah, I'm not sure what you were saying, Blue, but
no. Somebody said that it's not easy to do something like that.
No.
And I thought they were talking about unaliving the 2.
Oh wow, this is good. This is a soul.
Oh yes, I like the souls.
It's a chilada limon y sal.
Oh, I forgot. We were supposed to go to the store and get beers, man.
Nah, we can do that for Friday. We got to do that for when Jaime's on the show. So I'm seeing a lot of 2s. A lot of you guys don't think. I see some weird ones like 3s and 10s, but I see a lot of 2s. I don't know yet. To be honest with you, I do think that at the very least, I think he might know more than what he's saying. What do you think, Blue?
Yeah, I think he does know more than what he's actually leading on. Somebody said, "What's my favorite song to sing?" I like a lot of George Strait's older songs, but if you want to keep on replay right now, is Jelly Roll "Save Me," or this damn song by Pecos and the Rooftop.
Why are you lying? You like some of that Billy Joel and some of that Beach Boys.
Hey, I do like Billy Joel.
Good question. All right, let's get back into this.
They were just here in San Antonio like 2 weeks ago.
Really? I didn't know that. I would have gone. I'm not really a fan or anything, but I'm in a point in my life where I want to just like experience things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'd like to go. All right, let's continue this.
They say that's a typical thing. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely is. When you get your first hammer, like I know I'm wearing a metal one right now, but your first hammer and your first set of runes, you're kind of encouraged to make them yourself, put some thought and heart into the path into Ossetru. And
a couple people who practice Norse paganism, they say that's a typical thing. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely is. When you get your first hammer, like I know I'm wearing a metal one right now, but your first hammer and your first set of runes, you're kind of encouraged to make them yourself, put some thought and heart into the path into Ossetru. And we had taken the kids across the street to Canal Park in Delphi, and we're having all the little kids. We tried to find something to get the kids engaged and something for them to do. You got 10 plus kids bouncing around a small little house. You need to keep them occupied. So they all went out and found branches, at least a certain length, and tried to keep them as evenly across as we could, and cut them into disc form. And they would sit down and, carve runes into each disc and make their own first set and whatnot. And it was nothing maniacal or benign about the situation.
So when you were cutting runes, you weren't cutting long sticks. You were cutting a thick little disc shapes, and then you were painting and carving onto the little discs.
Yep, I took the stick and I cut it in a little disc, evenly spaced the best I could for staying there with the little crappy plug-in portabandsaw there at my kitchen table, and had a big pile of them. And everybody, got their little chunk in front of them, and we sat there and we showed them, the Feywu rune and then the Uru's rune, and they were carving them in there and putting them in their little leather bags that they made, probably a little 5x5 bag or big.
So real quick, he's saying that the ruins that they make aren't like these sticks that they're cutting up and making them look like certain letters or symbols or runes. They cut them into kind of like coasters, I would best describe them, little discs, and then they either draw or carve whatever symbol they want on them. So if somebody was trying to, like, I go back to like Elvis Fields, who, according to the defense, they were kind of saying that he was a wannabe. He wanted to be a part of this group. Patrick Westfall said that the 22, the letter V, were supporters, people who wanted to become a part of the group, basically describing what Elvis Fields would have been. Now, if he was very new to it and somehow got talked into, with some other folks to go commit a crime like this to impress the uppers, they may not have, if they're that new, they may not have understood that and maybe have used the sticks as their ruins. Yeah. What do you think? Or does it completely, or do you think that Patrick and those guys, since they cut into like coasters, that it excludes them from this crime?
Well, he was saying the kids would do that. The kids are the ones that would do the carvings.
No, it was for, he said that kids would go along and they were all out there, but it wasn't just for the kids, but the kids were doing it, but that's how they all do it. In fact, they'll bring up a picture of the Odin hanging upside down, and at the bottom of the picture, you see those discs with the letters carved in or drawn in. So that is accurate.
But the scotch needs a little bit of bourbon, just
just to give it a kick. Blue, you're crazy, my man. Let's continue this.
Bigger, just to get all their little disc in there, and that was the activity for that day.
Okay, so they kind of are painting a picture like you're doing runes, you're cutting sticks, and you're kind of making the rune shapes out of the sticks, but that's not what you're doing here.
No. I actually have a picture of table with the tablecloth, and it has like a little wooden piece of cypress wood in the middle, a couple horns laying next to it, and a little pile of these discs next to it. I kind of wish I had to send it to you beforehand, because you can post that up on your screen too. But no, I'm just cutting little wedges out of it. Once we got, the 24 discs for each kid, just toss the rest of the sticks out in the burn pile in the backyard and probably burn them later on that night, because we always had a fire after we ate and done all of our stuff.
There's a question here for you from Rescue All the Dogs. Says, Patrick, please clarify about Flora. You mentioned you thought it was a closed case. What made you think that?
Because I never heard anything about it ever since. Once I moved out of the area, I mean, even though I'm not big on watching news. And
so there's a theory out there that either Libby or Abby, one of them, found out of a possible, who committed the crime in Flora, right? And Flora was it was a house fire that took the lives of four children who were African American, right? And it has been ruled that the fire was started like as an arson. There was an accelerant utilized to create that fire. In Brad Holder's wife's statement, they mention, the defense mentions that in Amber's statement, Brad Holder's wife, that she said that there was something about, fire with 2 girls, but they may have gotten the number wrong and think that it was 4 girls and it was the Flora incident. Patrick Westfall used to live in Flora. What do you think about that, Blue?
That's a pretty crazy coincidence. And then I think the other coincidence that they had was that it was the one where the judge's house was on fire. Was the one that I guess agreed with the ex-wife, right, when they were divorcing or something?
It wasn't really a divorce. I think they were just going through some stuff. I don't know. I think they weren't even married yet during this time. They ended up getting married after the fact. Thank you, Heather. She says this is some disturbing stuff. Love y'all turkeys. Yeah, it definitely is. All right, let's continue. In fact, they start talking about random stuff after this. Let me fast forward a little bit.
After mid-February. Okay, here it is. Okay, it also says here,
something productive.
Brad Holder videotaping someone that looks like Patrick Westfall, and we talked about this a little bit, using his finger to mark a tree in the ceremony at about the same height that the F tree was marked with Libby's blood, leaving the question of whether Patrick Westfall marked the F tree the same way that he marked the tree in Fort Wayne in the ceremony video. So they're basically accusing you of being responsible for leaving a signature at a crime scene in the victim's blood. So let's take a look at that. But they say they have evidence to support this. Let's take a look at that evidence. All right.
They really throw that word evidence around pretty lightly, don't they?
Yeah, I think they even called it exhibit such and such. And man, when you see this, I thought you were squirting something on here. I was like, this motherfucker might be guilty. You know what I mean? Like, you got to really have control over your mind. People will manipulate it. See,
I watched that video did on that. That's the first time I've seen that video in a long time. When I first read the memorandum, I'm like, what the fuck video? I mean, I remember the event that we were at and where we were at, but I'm like, what the hell am I doing to a tree, man? And then I saw this video on your page and I'm like, I remember exactly what I'm doing now.
And it was funny because somebody in the comments were like, oh, he's trying to shove something inside the tree. And I was like, no. And then I talked to you, you were like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing.
Yep. I mean, a coin or a chunk of crystal or something. They had little booths and vendors set up there where you could get, little heathen things. My son was there. You can see him walk up in this video, the little kid in the black outfit. That was my oldest boy. He's an 18-year-old now. Yeah. Okay. That's the one that the cops were questioning as I was walking out of the polygraph from taking that lie detector test. But trying to find a nice, perfect.
So 2 things there. He took a lie detector test. I'm assuming he passed, right? Because if he failed, I'm pretty sure the defense would have put that in their little 136-page novel.
Yeah.
What do you think, Blue?
Yeah, definitely. If they're trying to accuse him and he failed the polygraph, they'll be trying to, nail him to the wall.
Yeah, 100%. Now, that polygraph wouldn't be used against them in trial, but it would be used for this, like Frank's hearing, as to why there was more evidence against somebody else or towards somebody else versus Richard Allen. You know what I'm saying? Now, the second thing I want to say is this guy is supposedly like he's over 6 foot, like 6'5" or something like that. And he's stretching out to do his ruins on the tree. There was an F drawn at about 4 foot, off the ground. I think that's more consistent with probably Richard Allen's height, drawing it straight, versus somebody who's like probably 6'4", 6'5", leaning over to draw it downwards. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I know he said the police are questioning his son. To me, that would be more of a closer suspect because him and one of the girls dated.
It wasn't his son. It was Brad Holder's son who dated Abigail Williams.
Okay, I thought it was his. My bad.
But his children did go to school with the 4 Flora girls who passed away.
Yeah, I sent you the info on it because I keep hearing about it, but I had never read up on it, so I sent you the info on the messages.
Yeah. Now I'm familiar with it to a certain extent. So let's continue this. I'm gonna see where we're at because I have it. Yeah, there's a few more.
Big size gap in that bark to wedge something into, and I'm trying to get it up super high so somebody didn't just. I mean, it's a common park people go to in Fort Wayne. I didn't want someone to come across and be like, "Hey, I'll go ahead and take that home now." So I'm trying to get it up high, like high.
Well, and according to what they said about the crime scene is that the signature left there on the tree, the F shape, was about 4 feet up. You're obviously taller. You're way higher than 4 feet at this point.
Yeah, I'm upward of over 8.5 foot easily. I'm a pretty big dude, man.
Yeah, and I think that also adds to like why people why you seem scary, dude. In all those photos, you're like towering over everybody.
Oh yeah.
Here's
I'm a big dude, man. It's real easy to point your finger and be like monster. You know, I know what my background looks like. I honestly do, man. But you know, as times change, so do people. And if somebody wants to work on themselves and be a better human, you know, that's all they can do. But when someone just looks at you and they're like, "Oh, fucking, that's Shrek right there. He's gonna grind your bones to make his bread," type crap. It's like, yeah, just go ahead and think what you want, bud, and just leave me be. But I did my size, my appearance, my voice, tatted up, all that stuff. I get it, man. It all compiles into a nice big scary image of the super monster. So
yeah, and I'm not here to say you're a good person at all, but I don't think you had anything to do with these murders. That's what's important to me.
And dude,
to find out,
I want to make it clear. I don't think I'm no angel either, dude. I know I'm an asshole. I know I'm rough around the edges. I'm not the most easiest guy to get along with, but I don't want to get along with everybody. I mean, if everybody likes you, then you're being fake as hell.
So that was a couple of times that Sloop does that, where he's like, I don't like you. You know, he basically said that right there. He said that in the beginning. I didn't play that first part, but he's like, he basically tells him, I don't like you. I don't like the kind of person that you are and whatnot. But he, like he mentioned, he said he doesn't think he did it. Now, based on a couple of things that are going on with the scene, I kind of would lean that direction. I don't know if he committed this, but I do think maybe these 22 supporters or the number 22, the letter V, right? That maybe perhaps one of those guys did. Somebody trying to impress somebody, one of these uppers. Now, Blue, I got a question for you. If that ends up being the case, that you have a situation where you have, you know, these low-level guys trying to become a part of this group, that they go and commit a crime like this, and it is according to like their folklore or whatever, right? Would you find any of those upper guys responsible for it?
But if they can find any shred of evidence that they ordered it, then yeah, they can.
Yeah, but like let's just say, I don't know. I'm a fan of medieval times, and in medieval times, people got, you know, beheaded, and I tell these people who want, you know, to join my medieval crew that, you know, it's selective and only a few people can come in, and even when you're in, you're on probation for a very long time, or probate, and you know, you'll be a member eventually, but it's going to take some time. And you got somebody who maybe, as the defense claims, is the defense saying it, not me. You have somebody who maybe has the intelligence of a 7 or 8 year old, which doesn't mean much as far as, you know, are they smart enough to pull off this crime, as much as are they easily convinced and easily tricked into doing things. And at that point, where you have somebody in that situation, would you find these other guys who are putting up pictures and posting pictures on their Facebook, a guy hanging upside down with blood on a tree and all these things? These are the guys that he's looking up to. Would you find these guys at all responsible?
I would say it just depends on how much incriminating evidence that can be found against them. I mean, if they were part of the same group but never said, "Hey, you have to do this to join," probably not. But if they were like, no, you have to do this to join, you can only pass your probate if you do this. There's a possibility to get maybe. Well, no. I'm also thinking like in gangs. You know how in gangs they had to initiate something, they have to jump somebody or shoot somebody. But if they don't know who the leader is or they can't tie it to the leader, only the guy that did the actual shooting goes to jail. So it varies. But
So that's a good example. Let's just say somebody wanted to join a gang, like you mentioned, and there's a certain initiation, and somebody wants to, go above and beyond that initiation, or maybe perhaps avoid an altercation, a physical one, and decides to go take out, the leader of a rival gang. After he hears about there being problems, and he thinks that he can, help or get in their good graces to be involved in the game. After explaining, I don't think they would be responsible. Right.
No, but then, like if you look at it, like in the Marilyn Manson case, he didn't commit any of the murders. He was but he was still convicted for them because he was the cult leader that, convinced all his followers to do his bidding for him.
Right.
So there is a way to get convicted. It takes some finessing, depending on what evidence they can get against you, phone calls, videotapes. A lot of these places like to record their services. It's weird, but they do. So maybe depending on what they say during their sermons or whatever they call their when they gather, it could be incriminating sometimes.
Yeah. Well, the defense is trying to say that he's painting something on this tree, which resembles what was being painted on the tree, according to the defense, that looked like the F-shaped ruin, which was like Hill Odin or something like that, when combined with the ruin that they believe was on one of the bodies.
Yeah, but like on this, he's not even painting anything. He's just
he's shoving something in there.
Yeah. So on the other one, they painted something. So
100%.
Could it be a ploy of, let's say, if it is Richard Allen, to blame it on somebody else? These guys, I'm not sure if they frequent the bar that he would go to, but maybe he didn't like them and he tried to put blame towards them. You never know.
Maybe.
Or he had a confrontation with them at the store because they hire, different races, or you don't know what causes people to do things. But I still think that because of the bullet casing and the time, not the casing, the bullet.
Well, here's the thing about that bullet, though. Supposedly, there's no chain of evidence on that bullet, where there's no pictures of it. I think there's a picture of it buried, what is described by the defense, but there's supposedly no photos of it being taken out of the ground or any of those things, which I'm not sure if that would be recorded in most cases. You know what I'm saying?
Most evidence, as long as it's bagged, and labeled and put in a report, most cases don't have photos.
Well, they all do have photos, but what I'm saying is like if you had, like if I went to we'll give a good point example. If I went to a case or a scene and somebody shot around and it went into the wall and it got stuck in a stud, right? And I go in there and I'm supposed to collect evidence about it. I'm going to see it. I'm going to take a picture of it there, and then I'm going to pull it out and then take another picture of it in different angles or whatever, right? Now, I'm not going to take a picture of me, like multiple pictures of me pulling the bullet out to make a little flip movie, You know what I'm saying? That doesn't happen. So we have to take, what the defense says with a grain of salt. If there was a picture of the bullet buried and they took a picture of that and then a picture of the bullet not buried, that sounds like protocol to me. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to put out there. Somebody put out that they found it 3 days after the search. Maybe that's why there's not any photos of it, because the crime scene team would have already been gone. It would have been just an investigator there. I don't know when it actually was found, but when we did the video on it a while back, I do remember that we found out some information that I didn't even know could happen. Was the only reason they knew was his bullet, because he cycled it through his gun and it made that specific mark that his gun only makes. So how can he prove, if he only walked the trail that day, that bullet, how can he prove that it's not from his gun? Because he was there. Even though he didn't say he walked off the trail, he was still there in the vicinity.
Man, like I told Snay, the best explanation for it, in my opinion, if I was his defense, I would have said, hey, Richard Allen frequently wore his jacket that he was wearing that day to the firing range. Several times he would go shooting, and if he didn't, finish the rounds, he would eject them and put them up for the next time. He would put them in his pocket. And if he went to the trail and pulled his phone out of his pocket to check the stock trader, that the bullet merely fell out of his pocket and fell on the ground. Now, there's a lot of witnesses that were, well, not a lot, but there's a few witnesses that are there that talk about certain times and how many people were on the trail and not. But it sounds like there was not very many people on the trail, just a handful. If I was Richard Allen's attorney, I'd say, based on the lack of people that are there, if Richard Allen pulled out his phone and dropped the round that he had, that it cycled through his weapon, if it fell on the ground, is it possible that either Libby or Abby saw it while they were walking on the trail and picked it up?
That's a part. It's hard for them to be able to prove, because I gone to the gun range. I'm pretty sure you're gone to the gun range. When do you ever really cycle a gun through a bullet through your gun and put it in your pocket?
I have.
I've never done it. Like, if I cycle it, it falls on the floor. Why the hell am I gonna pick it up? There's so much brass on the floor. I just leave it sometimes, Right. But I also shoot mostly revolver, so I don't have to worry about it cycling.
So I have, but it was part of my training. And, it wasn't like an everyday use. It was, if you were doing a tactical reload, it was always smart when you put in a new mag. Like, let's just say what a tactical reload was, you're firing your weapon and you drop the mag when you think you're close, and you just put a new one in just in case you're out. Like, if you're going through some stuff, like crap's going back and forth. Hey, it showed up. Thank you, Abby. Gifted 1 Drunk Turkey Show membership. That's never showed up before. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. So what a tactical reload is, again, is you're firing your weapon, and if you have a semi-automatic weapon like a Glock, you'd be firing it, pow, pow. And then if shots are going backwards, there's a possibility that you don't know how many rounds are in there. So the thing is to drop the round, put in a new round, and pull the slide back just to put one in the chamber in case there isn't one, which if there wasn't, it would be back. But that's just kind of the way they train you. And what ends up happening is it falls out. And afterwards, once you're done with your training, you go and you pick it up. So, there's also the other ones that are used. Now, I don't know if Richard Allen was going out there doing SWAT tactical training. That would probably not well. Then again, I mean, I think he was in the National Guard, wasn't he?
I don't know.
I think he was. I think it was in the Army National Guard.
But that's the thing is like I've shot in, handguns like that before, and every time I would finish a mag, the gun, most of them would just boom, pop back. The sleeve will go back. You're done. That's when you popped in a new clip. I would just release it slowly and just check it, make sure it came up. I wouldn't shoot it out. Like everybody said, I hate bending over picking up stuff, so I wouldn't make sure I wouldn't lose it. But I would make sure it went in.
Yeah. And then there was because there were times where, you know what, it didn't cycle through the gun, where you would go back and pick up your magazines, right? And when you did like a tactical reload and you drop the mag, and let's just say there's 2 rounds left in there, you pick that up and you get those 2 rounds out, but that wouldn't be cycling through the gun. That would just be coming out of the mag. That's weird, man. It is hard to explain. I mean, the only other thing I could say is, if I was Richard Allen, and this is the way it could have actually have been cycled out. Perfect example. I figured it out. When he was clearing his weapon, you take the mag out, you put the gun into like a sandbox, and then you clear the weapon, and if there's one in the mag, or one in the round, in the chamber, I'm sorry, it'll come out. That's exactly when you would do that.
Yeah, but like the thing is, one of the girls was found completely nude, right? So she didn't have no clothes on. It would have to be in the pocket of the other girl or by the clothes, and it wasn't by the clothes.
Well, one of the girls had on the clothes of another girl, so he was putting on the clothes somewhere close. So I do think it's possible that it could have fallen out. Now, Eric says he's walking around that trail with that in his pocket and it falls out. I mean, yeah, you'd be surprised how many people go to like gun range and put ammunition in their pockets and forget. It's quite common, actually.
I want to see, maybe if I know up north, like I grew up a little bit up there, and there is a few gun ranges, and they would have cameras and stuff, and we had to register to go in, and we had to sign in. I would like to see the records if he was part of a club. Most of the time, you have to be part of the club, and most of the time, my buddies all did skeet, so we'd go do skeet shooting.
Maybe, but you got to remember they live in a rural area, so maybe all you have to say is that you got to public land.
I lived in a place that was 900 people, and when we would shoot at my cousin's uncle's house, it wasn't, it would be shooting into the fields. So, we have empty fields that were cleared, and we'd set up some targets and just shoot into the field. So that's where I would say he would be shooting because most places, like when they're that rural or small, they might have one gun range, but most people shoot in their backyards or friends' properties.
Yeah, 100%. And is it possible he went shooting at Elvis Fields' property? Elvis Fields picked up a round or something. I don't know, but let's continue this.
The chat today. Let's see here. Bird Brain says, "Do you know the Kleins, Keegan Klein and Tony Klein and his dad Tony Klein? Anybody over there?"
No.
I think somebody else was asking if you knew Ron Logan.
No. If I was to pass by him and like to.
All right. I feel like there was a difference there between the no's. Like, did you know the Kleins? No. Did you know Ron Logan? No. And then he goes into explaining about why he wouldn't know Ron Logan. What do you think about that, Blue?
Yeah, I mean, it's a small place, but I don't think everybody's gonna know everybody sometimes. And I don't know where he lived. How long did he live there for?
I don't know how long he lived there for, but they both lived off the river. I don't know if it was. I think one's like maybe 3 miles away, but it's all like farms and stuff. So, 3 miles is probably like 3 neighbors.
Yeah, I mean, you might know because when they're farmers, they seem to talk and help each other out quite a bit. At least my friends that lived up north did. But like, I, to the life of me, don't know the name of my neighbor next door. I say hi to her, but I've been here for almost 6 years and I don't even know her name.
Well, that's because you're famous. You don't want her to know who you are, Blue. Let her know. I want you to hear that again when he says no to the Kleins and no to around Logan. You tell me if you think you hear
Over
the
there.
pause.
No.
All right, let me go back just a little bit further.
Bitch, argue and cry and whine. That's what they asked you to do. You go do it. And that's what happened. I'm the one that got my vehicle and drove down there.
I'm
Easy
looking
as
for
that.
some more. I'm looking for some more questions for you. I'm not doing very well in the chat today. But let's see here. Bird Brain says, "Do you know the Kleins? Keegan Klein and Tony Klein and his dad Tony Klein. Anybody over there?"
No.
I think somebody else was asking if you knew Ron Logan.
No. If I was to pass by him in like the Save-A-Lot or the Dollar General in town or something, I couldn't stop and point out and be like, "Hey, here's Ron Logan." I had no interaction with the guy.
Here's a good one by Guy.
I don't know, man. What do you think, dude? I think there's a difference there.
Yeah, there's a difference, but for them to have a Save-A-Lot, they got to be pretty big little town. Because I mean, the place I lived at, close to Save-A-Lot, was 30 miles away. So I had to go
What
through
do you
like
mean?
4 times. Save-A-Lot's kind of like an HEB, kind of like a Aldi. That's what
okay. What he said, yeah. But
yeah.
what I'm saying is, he went from like, do you know the Kleins? No.
Yeah.
Do you know Ron Logan? Pause. Then no. And then he goes into explaining why he wouldn't be able to pick Logan out if he saw him at the grocery store. My experience, when somebody adds more information than is required or needed, is usually because they're being deceitful.
Yeah, I think his no changed, but I think he wanted to separate himself as much as he could from Ron Logan because if he lived close to him, they can tie him to the area.
But he does live close to him. They can tie him to the area already. And if they were to tie him into Keegan Klein, who had a fake account, who was talking with Libby German online, I think that would be a pretty bad connection too.
I mean, they both would, but they were unalived on Ron Logan's property. Closer proximity to the scene, you don't want to be nowhere near it. Even he said it during the conversation. I stay clear of Delphi. Of course he would. I mean, I'm pretty sure with all the rumors and everything, he's being accused left and right about it. But also, if you know you're innocent, you wouldn't care what people thought about you.
Mm-hmm.
You just go by your way. You know what I mean? But
and he says that at the end. He says that's the reason why I'm coming out here is because I don't care. Like, there's nothing to hide. But he also does say that he felt that he was going to be the pansy or the pot scheme or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
the fall guy.
Yeah, he's going to be the fall guy. I mean,
yeah. If it wasn't for Ron or for Richard Allen,
I think it would be a lot harder for them to tie him there because there was no fingerprints. Like I said, I don't know the crime scene photos if they have footprints. Now, these guys probably got rid of their shoes by now, but they'll have shoe sizes if they got shoe prints. And it'll give you an idea of, hey, you know what? These sizes match this guy. He said that he was there on a drunken night. Maybe we should investigate him a little bit more.
I'm pretty sure the guy that's 5'3", size 7, Patsy, there we go, probably has a different shoe size than the 6'5" guy. I'm just going out on a limb there.
Yeah.
I don't think the 6'5" guy, Mr. Westfall, wears a size 7 in shoes. Just throwing that out there. I'm gonna go out on a limb.
Yeah, I think Richard Allen said he was like a size 13, 14. And I think
And his legs,
because he was like 6'2", wasn't he?
Richard Allen?
No, not Richard Allen. Ronald Logan.
Ron Logan. I was like, dude,
Yeah,
no.
Ron Logan. Ron Logan. Yeah. I meant Ron Logan. It's that whiskey. It's kicking in already, man.
That's what he says. He's like a 13. I was like, maybe in the length of his pants, but I mean, 36 by 13 because he's a short dude, man.
Yeah.
I don't think he's got the shoes that size. But yeah, Ron Logan, he was a bigger guy. He was like 6'2".
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and apparently he was stocky or whatnot. So, yeah, he was strong.
That's the thing about how when they have search parties and find these bodies, they contaminate the scene a little bit when it comes to footprints. But at least they can take prints of all the shoes that were there and say, hey, y'all stepped on the scene area. We need to take a copy of your print of your shoes. That way they can rule them out.
Here's the thing. Check this out, right? Jeannie Smith says, yeah, no talk about footprints. RA is a size 8 shoe size. I saw 7. But here's the thing. Do you think maybe perhaps they didn't talk about shoe size because to the police officers, they didn't find any because all the shoe sizes were the same size? I mean, I think Liberty German probably could be wearing, the size 7, size 8 as well.
Yeah. But they would have found her shoes around the scene. It doesn't say that people kept the souvenirs and not they'd be looking for shoes. But
I know there were shoes in the water, and I think there was another pair on the side of the bank. So they were there. Their shoes were there.
Yeah. And I was going to say, remember they did take a shoebox from Richard Allen's house, but I don't know what was in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But these are all theories, guys. I always like to put it out there because people say, oh, the drunk turkey said this. And no, these are all theories. We're just running our thoughts through our heads. Or our thoughts out of our heads because we're telling y'all.
Blue, why are you lying? You can see the future, my man. Don't down yourself.
I wish I could see the future. I would have won $1 billion last week.
Yeah, me too. How's it going, Cammy? Good to see you. All right, let's continue this at the next spot.
Me too. I've been up since 3 a.m. because I couldn't sleep. So.
Your day.
Here's a question. I've already asked you this, and you've answered this question, but Anthony, I don't think he must have heard it. This is my guy, Anthony here. Did you ever frequent the bars in or around Delphi?
Yeah. When I still drank, I'd go out to the bars to drink. A lot of my drinking was at the house, but there's times that the old lady want to get dressed up and go out and paint the light fantastic. So we would go out and go down to a joint called JC's, a few blocks away from the house. I mean, everything was in walking distance, and I'd go sit in the VFW because it was actually closer than the JC's place, and we go there and have a few beers, play some pool.
At JC's, that's Richard Allen would frequent there.
JC's, yeah. There was the office, JC's, the DFW, brick and mortar.
Right by that. You hear that? Like he goes, so Sleuth asks him or tells him, JC's, that's the bar that Richard Allen frequent. And then he goes, yeah, I went to JC's, went over here, just bypass that.
That's what I told you. Like they lived around there. Richard Allen admitted that he went to the bar frequently with his wife.
Mm-hmm. Small town.
They were regular people. And his photos were even up at the bar. I think I remember. Like I said, we covered this case a long time ago, so I'm trying to bring back memories from almost a year ago.
We just covered this case a couple days ago. What you talking about now?
I know, but the original information where we started talking about Richard Allen, and remember we had the they had photos of him like sitting, I think either at the bar or something, and then the wanted poster behind them. I think it might have been at his work, but they also had a picture of him at the bar.
Yeah, they had a picture of him at the bar, and they had a wanted. They had the sketch at the bar. They had the sketch at his job. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. All right. So, but what about the fact that he's just completely going past the fact that when he's asked, "Do you know Richard Allen?" Like he's not even answering it. Like, is it possible that Richard Allen was one of these 22s, this letter V, these wannabes, these guys that are trying to become an Odinite, and he's aware of his interest and doesn't want to bring it up because then obviously that wouldn't look good for him, right?
Yeah, I'd say it is possible because, you know, recruitment 101, when it comes to things like that, is pick up people that are sometimes enabled, down, you know, not feeling good. You talk to them at the bar, tell them, hey, you know, we should hang out or come to our meetings. That's where they get you. I mean, here in San Antonio, they try to do that at the gas stations all the time, especially on like the gas stations that all the construction workers do. I remember I was a
Hey, Blue, we don't want to hear about the times you've been solicited for swingers. That's not what we're here for, my man.
No. I always thought it was funny because it's the first time that I got bamboozled. You know, I was young, man. I was young. I was probably 18.
How'd you get bamboozled?
So this, I would say she was probably about 18, 19-year-old comes up to me. I mean, beautiful body with a, you know, dress. It was a church dress and everything, right? Said, sir, can you help me? I was like, yeah. What's going on, man? How can I help you? And she's like, well, I want to talk to you about Jesus Christ. And then like the three old ladies came around the corner. I was like, holy crap, where do these ladies come from? You know. And then I saw
so you had bad intentions and
no,
were
I did
bamboozled
not.
by the church.
I should. My buddy's like, you should have never talked to him because the old ladies are coming, and he was on the other side filling up the gas, and yep, the old ladies came up to me and started handing me flyers about how Jesus needs to save me and all this stuff.
Dude, I got bamboozled like that one time. I was a lot younger than that though. I learned my lesson very young. I was like, I don't know, maybe 13, maybe 12. And me and my buddy, Roland, he lived down the street from me. It was me, him, and another buddy of mine that was from the neighborhood. We all used to hang out. Now, I didn't live in, you know, I didn't grow up in the safest, maybe not safest. I mean, it was all right. It wasn't that bad, but it wasn't the, what's the word I'm looking for? I grew up in the ghetto. I'll just say it like that. Right? It's true. It is what it is. And, you know, I had some friends who made some questionable decisions about what they wanted to do with their free time. You know, I wasn't into any of those things. I wasn't into gangs or whatnot. I'd never been in one, but I had friends who were. And, you know, I kind of stuck out like a sore thumb because I wasn't into like, you know, the clothing that they were into. So I really did stick out like really, really bad. And, well, anyways, we're outside and this guy pulls up, right? And you know, we had to be younger than that because I think we're like 10 or 11. And this dude pulls up in this old car with hydraulics and it was like doing all this crazy stuff in the street. And the guy yells at us like, "Hey, do y'all like rap music?" And my buddy's like, yeah. He's like, well, we're hosting a rap concert. Are you guys interested? And we're like, hell yeah, man. Where's it at? What are the details? And he's like, here's the flyer. Here's the flyer. Go check it out. Right. So I go home and I tell my mom like, hey, you know, me, Roland, and Carlos want to go out to, you know, this concert. Do you mind dropping us off? And she's like, yeah, it's free. So it was cool. Right. They got us out of the house and didn't have to pay for anything. Right. It was a win-win. So we get there. Right. And like, we're all prepared. And my buddy Roland was, he like starched his khakis really, really starchy and had only one button in his flannel shirt. all the way up to the top. So, and he had his little bandana backwards and his lokes, like he was ready to go, dude. He looked straight out of like Blood In, Blood Out or something, right? And we get there, and I just remember it because I started looking around, and everybody's cool, right? And then all of a sudden, these people come out on the stage, and they're like, "We'd like everybody to hold hands and join us in prayer." And we're like, "Wait, what?" And it was this whole Christian thing, which nothing against it. I'm Christian. I go to church every now and then. I'm not maybe as I probably don't go as often as I should, but I do try to go and stuff like that. But yeah, it was completely bamboozled. It was a Christian rap group, and I remember one of my buddies, Roland, the one that was all decked out, ready for war in the streets. He ended up getting saved that day, man. He ended up going up there and finding Jesus. He went out to the back, and he ended up following it. He did good for himself, since very young. Have you ever been in a situation, Blue?
No, once I got old lady fires, I got back in the truck.
Oh man, dude, I've been bamboozled a few times. I'll go into on Friday. I'll go into the worst one that I've ever been bamboozled on. It happened when I first moved to San Antonio. I was a little sneak peek. I joined a group downtown, and I was not expecting what I walked into. We'll leave it at that, and I'll talk about it more on Friday night. So if you want to find out about what that's about, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell. But let's get back into Delphi. We're getting way off topic. So let me see, where are we at on this? I have them written down exactly where I wanted to stop and go on 9 yards. Let's move forward, because there's a lot of like just them doing what we're doing now, random talking.
Yeah, answer what you can.
And if it's anything to do with me with the pool stick, I have no idea what the hell they're talking about.
Did you hear any rumors about who committed the murders prior to Allen being charged?
No. There was hundreds of rumors going around that small town. Like, it was unreal of the thoughts and the actions behind what happened. People weren't really just standing around on the street corners, bumping each other, walking their dogs, and discussing the incident. I mean, it was kind of one of those, people didn't talk about it much out in public. In all honesty, it was an insane event to happen in that small town.
Here's a good question.
I don't like to talk to people in town, so I wasn't part of any chat groups or circles or nothing like that. I just stayed in my house and did my thing.
Here's one from Sparky Dew. She says, "Who was your landlord in Flora?" I think you told us during the interview.
Ryder, I do believe his last name was. One of the more big time slumlords with more properties than the other ones. His last name was Ryder.
All right, let me fast forward a little bit. I don't remember why I wanted y'all to hear that, but for some reason. Go to 30.
Spring chicken left in my bones, so I'm trying to get myself into easy mode of life and, smell the flowers type shit.
Downtime.
Yep.
Here's a good question. It says here, when we previously spoke, you said you didn't know Richard Allen. She's saying, okay. But what's the general opinion in Delphi about Richard Allen? Are people shocked? Do some people, have you talked to anybody that might know Richard Allen? What's the inside scoop?
Sorry, folks, I can't help you on that one. Right after that ordeal happened in May of 2019 in Delphi, I moved out of Delphi in September, and I took myself a little bit more than an hour away. And I have not went back there since I did my couple and a half month sentence in the county jail. I haven't went back there since. I still got to go back pay probation fees, and I'm dreading that, but I have not went back to that county, talked to anybody in that town. Steer and clear Delphi.
Okay, so here they say, who told you to pull the patch? Was it the leader? And that they're talking about Johnny Messer, right? Or am I missing something?
Pulling Johnny Messer's patch. It was the person that was probating me. Person to put the probate patch on me is the one that said this needed to be done. And I said, no worries, fam, I got you. And I went and did it.
And it sounds like they're trying to connect this Elvis person, Elvis Fields, to you through Johnny Messer.
That'd be the only way they could do it. There ain't no one else in this state that had any interaction with that guy besides Johnny Messer.
They're both from
patch
Rushville.
holder that put the probate on me, I can probably guarantee you that cat's never met or heard of this person. And I never did either. He never came to any of our get-togethers in Indianapolis when we would have them. This guy was a nobody to the club. Only Johnny Messer.
Yeah.
So he's talking about Elvis Fields there, that nobody knew who that guy was. Johnny Messer was the guy that he pulled a patch on. Right. Did I get that right, Blue?
Yeah.
And I know somebody said something about that he mentions two different landlords. I think one was in Flora and one was in Delphi. So that's why there's two different landlords. But the one in Delphi, his name is interesting. Let's watch this.
Here's somebody else that is bringing up the pool stick incident. That must be something that's floating around online or something. But I don't.
I know that same question was just asked, and if someone has more clarification to put it up there to kind of jog my memory a little bit, that'd be great. But you can't keep asking the same question without any other information. It's not going to do any good.
Rephrase the question.
Yeah, there you go. Rephrase it. You said you were a probate.
Objection.
What was you? Yeah, I was a probate before. Brad Holder, wannabe Vinlander or / Odinist.
So the question is, would you consider BH a wannabe Villander / Odinist? So BH wasn't a part of, or BH is Brad Holder. He wasn't a part of the group there. He was a supporter. He wannabe is kind of what I would say, but a supporter, kind of like what Elvis Fields was.
I don't know what the / is about. Vinlanders and Odinist.
Where'd you see that at? Down
it's on the screen right now, buddy. Yeah.
Oh, would you? Okay, yeah.
Brad Holder was only ever a supporter. He's never a Vinlander. He was never a probate. He only was associated with the club because he knew me, and that man would latch on to get real easy. Said Brad started messing with Ossitru because he would see me talking to the gods before we go outside the base in Afghanistan to do a mission or something, and that's what turned him onto it. And like he. Big time follower. I guess that's the word I want to use.
Okay. Yeah, because I think he's a Freemason too, right? So he's kind of like gets into these groups, tries to get into as many groups as he can.
Yeah, he changes his image a lot, his appearance a lot, his actions a lot, what he's concerned about at the time. Like that man is just constantly changing. He's a chameleon. Absolutely.
Did you ever suspect him of having any involvement in the crime? Did you ever think like, oh, well, maybe Brad Holder might,
Of all his faults and his timidness and his inability to just be himself anywhere he's at, it never really dawned on me that this dude was some psycho / killer of little kids. I mean, honestly, that thought never came through my head, and it's really still not something that goes through there now. I mean, weird son of a bitch, don't get me wrong. Weird dude, lies a lot, untrustworthy. But as far as being some psycho / killer, that man ain't got enough heart.
Do you notice anything about his answer there, Blue?
No, I mean, I thought he was just like trying to make him sound like he was just like an outsider to the where they are from.
What about his answer? His words, his tone, his facial expressions. Anything stick out to you?
Oh, he was messing with his beard for a little bit.
Watch it again. Watch it again. Pay attention to him.
Just constantly changing. He's a chameleon. Absolutely.
Did you ever suspect him of having any involvement in the crime? Did you ever think like, oh, well, maybe Brad Holder might,
Of all his faults and his timidness and his inability to just be himself anywhere he's at, it never really dawned on me that this dude was some psycho / killer of little kids. I mean,
you see anything?
Yeah, like he's trying to be as indirect as he can.
Nah, dude, look at where he's looking. Like majority of the questions he's answering, he's looking straight ahead. I asked him, "Do you think Brad Holder could have done this?" Yeah, his head goes down.
Yeah.
What do you think?
It's pretty weird. Let me watch a little bit more and see what he does on the next answers.
I'm gonna rewind it just a little bit so you guys can see that.
Don't get me wrong, weird dude, lies a lot, untrustworthy, but as far as being some psycho / killer, absolutely.
Did you ever suspect him of having any involvement in the crime? Did you ever think like, oh well, maybe Brad Holder might, you know?
Of all his faults and his timidness and his inability to just be himself anywhere he's at, it never really dawned on me that this dude was some psycho / killer of little kids. I mean, honestly, that thought never came through my head, and it's really still not something that goes through there now. I mean, weird son of a bitch, don't get me wrong. Weird dude, lies a lot, untrustworthy, but as far as being some psycho / killer, that man ain't got enough heart.
Here's a question for you. What's the status of him and the Vinlanders? Is he a member of the American Guard?
I ain't talked to no guard. Long time. He wasn't then. And as far as I know, he never was going to be. Anything that he, like when, I'm pretty sure he was at that Trump rally with me, but he was only there because he rode with me. It wasn't people he knew. He wasn't into anything political. He was just into what I was into.
So he does look down periodically, but when he answered about, Brad Holder's involvement, potential involvement, I noticed it looked pretty obvious that it was significantly more. And yeah, I thought he sounded a little bit nervous about answering that question. Yeah, we can see your chat. You good to go? You good to go, time machine? Let me see. Where am I at on here? I didn't notice that until right now when we were watching that. I was like, hey, that looks kind of weird. Yeah.
Stuff.
Here's a good question. Did you ever meet Galen or her kids? Did your kids go to school with them?
That's the house fire people, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Flora schools. Actually, I think they brought Flora kids into Delphi for school. And as far as my kids knowing them, if they were in the same schools, my kids probably knew them, were around them. I think I had a few kids that were lower down in the age. Yeah, kids probably around those age at that time. They probably saw them in school, interacted with them day to day and things like that. But they never came home and talked about them.
I think the oldest was 12.
At that point in time back then, I had a 12-year-old, a 13-year-old, a 10-ish, and an 8 or 9-year-old. So I had kids right in that same age bracket, all the way across 4 of them. So they never mentioned it.
Here's a question from Sparky. Do you think that Brad Holder killed or had anything to do with killing Libby and Abby? He already answered that question.
Yeah, I know his boy was dating one of the girls, but I don't think they'd ever even met in person. From what I understood, it was just all online interaction from what I understood, but I can't remember at this point where I even heard it.
Rick Snay from Delphi After Dark. He went on live earlier. I'm not sure if it was like yesterday or maybe today, maybe the day before. And he had a picture of Logan Holder, which is the son of Brad, and Abby Williams together in a picture. So they did meet together. They did have some sort of physical interaction with each other. It wasn't just, over the phone or the internet. What do you think about that, Blue?
Yeah, like I said, they're trying to just separate themselves as far as they can.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah, that was
how
my
much
question.
validity it had.
I actually have. That's the only question I've written down is here. What did you know about Abby and Logan's relationship?
All online, teenage, small social skill type stuff. A lot of these kids can't talk. You can be best friends online. I've watched my kids do it. They talk with somebody through text, and they're within 5 feet of them, and just they can't interact. They can't socialize. They can't do any of that stuff anymore. It's almost sad to watch, but I think it was all online, talking and chatting.
Yeah, because Brad Holder would come visit you in Delphi, I wondered if maybe that's when Logan Holder, his son, was meeting up with Abby and Libby or something like that.
No, Logan would never venture away from my house and go anywhere. He stayed around with my boys in the backyard, or they would walk across the street to Canal Park, or the other way across the street to the canal itself. So he never ventured off into town and wandered by himself.
And what do you have to say, people like me, when you were talking about leather pouches, when we freak out because we've been looking at the Delphi bridge guy for so long. So you are talking about cutting runes, but wouldn't those runes go into a leather pouch? But then again, is this a leather pouch on the bridge guy? I guess that's the question.
There was a comment made about fanny packs on a video that you did with your buddy Frank day and a half after our phone call that we had.
Mm-hmm.
I never said a thing about fanny packs when I was talking about these leather bags. I'm not sure how it got into a fanny pack situation that he had mentioned, but these little bags didn't have like little drawstrings you could hook them to your belt, carry your stuff around. It was just a little drawstring pouch that you would, set in a dark place as you're supposed to do with your runes until you get them out and use them. And, you use them in low light areas, not super bright environments. It's just part of the whole rune thing. But no, we never made carrying pouches. And I've never been able to tell much about that picture of the bridge guy, what he has on him. I mean, jeans, jacket, and hat. It's hard to tell. He could have another hat tucked into his belt, hanging down his pant leg, for all I can tell. And that it could be a sock hat hanging out of his belt or something. I honestly don't know.
Yeah, to me, it looks
Not sure if that's a merce or a fanny pack or what it is.
But that's why people freak out when you said,
yeah.
you can't say leather pouch around me.
Yeah. Yeah, like it's the same thing. Like if I said that I had 5 toes on my right foot, they'd be like, "Oh, the Delphi bridge guy probably had 5 toes on his right foot."
I think most people have 5 toes on their right foot.
Yeah, but maybe over there they have 6.
That was funny. I had to throw that out there. I was like, most people have 5 toes on the right foot. Are people in Delphi? Do they have like 4 on one foot and more on another? It's what do you mean by this? But I just wanted to throw that out there. Something I picked up or caught on that.
Yeah,
I don't know. He kind of walks funny. Maybe he's not. If you told me you had 4, if you told me you had 4 toes, then I might.
He could be one of those 6-toe guys. I know a few people that had that extra little weird thing stuck off the side of their foot, the 6-toe start. He could.
Okay, so this isn't a pouch full of runes that were cut by you.
No.
Yeah, that looks like a holster, or maybe a big
Nope.
knife.
He did. He stole it from a kid, and that's the only people that did him at my house was the children. All the adults had stone runes and stone engraved runes at that point because, we'd already had our first sets. My little rune set that we had at the start of all of our adventure, and now we were up to having like Antheus stone with runes carved into them or things like that.
Here's a question for you: have you ever heard of the Anthony Shots account? And if so, what do you think about it?
I think I heard that name on this podcast, one of your videos at some point, but I never heard it before that.
So obviously, claiming that, but that was the profile that was connected to Keegan Klein. Let's see, 4553.
Up to date and clean and put together, and they kind of fell more on the line of slummy than they did not slummy. But the dude gave me a place to live when I was homeless, living in a tent. So I can't say too much bad about the guy.
Here's one from DC Primetime. Question: can you help give insight? And I had the same question. Are you? This is from Sleuthy Goosey. Patrick, were you part of the Sons of Odin?
No.
No.
Sons of Odin was.
That was a long pause too. Like, what do you think, Lou, about those long pauses?
Yeah, man, it's like he don't. It's not that hard to say no. But I have long pauses too.
Yeah, but only on these weird questions that he's making these long pauses. Like, is Brad Holder? Do you think Brad Holder would have? Or no, it wasn't that. It was. Do you know Ron Logan? Like, he was real quick to say he didn't know Keegan Klein, but Ron Logan took him a minute, or it took him a couple seconds. There's been other ones that have taken him a few seconds. This is another one. This one's another. Like, maybe I shouldn't say this because it's gonna, make me look bad. Thank you. Lead with love. We appreciate your $10 super chat. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
long pause. And this is actually at 1.25 speed. So in regular speed, it's actually a lot longer of a pause, but it is a long pause.
Started off with the whole political thing, and I was at that time I was a made man with the VSC and only one club at a time. You can't be in multiple clubs at the same time.
And we already talked about this, your landlord in Delphi. Oh no, we didn't ask that.
No, one in Delphi is gentleman with the last name of Whiteman.
Now I know he brings it up later, Sleuth Intuition does, but Whiteman, that was the last name that was put on Richard Allen. As far as the tip goes, it said Richard Allen Whiteman. That's the address that he lives at. So a lot of folks, said that was the correlation there was because Richard Allen lived on Whiteman Street. So just thought I'd bring that up.
And he actually wasn't too bad of a guy. He wasn't the best on keeping his places more up to date and, clean and put together. And they kind of fell more on the line of slummy than they did not slummy. But the dude gave me a place to live when I was homeless, living in a tent. So I can't say too much bad about the guy.
Here's one from DC Primetime. Question: can you help give insight? And I had the same question. I was about to ask you the same thing. Can you help give insight as to whether the killer was trying to make it look Odinistic, quote unquote, and if so, whether he thinks the killer was legit practitioner or just trying to throw off law enforcement?
In my opinion, if this person was under the impression that this is something that needed to be done in the name of Asatru to the gods or the goddesses, that person would have put a hell of a lot more thought and energy into what was done. There was nothing about, from the little diagrams that you would have about how the girls were laying on the ground, the sticks around them. There wasn't a taste in my mouth that was Asatru in general. Now, if it was some kind of Celtic, Druid, Wiccan, there's nothing about that. It's just like, wow, Asatru. Pagan in a sense,
F?
maybe.
The F-looking shape kind of looks like a rune, a little bit, I guess, kind of. But this is looks kind of more like a handprint, maybe. I'm not sure. But right here,
I mean,
let's do this. Blue. Do those look alike? You're muted.
It looks like one looks like an F.
Right, that one looks like an F.
Like old Roman. Yeah. And then the other one looks like a Roman numeral or like an older number.
Thank you, Desiree, for becoming the newest member. We appreciate you. Yeah, but if you look at what, for instance, let's look at one at a time. This one's going to be the one on the right. Obviously, would be Libby. You have one branch. All right, so you can see where this branch on the left does Y out, but on Richard. I keep calling him Richard Allen. I'm going to keep calling Rick's name Richard Allen. I already did it. It's already going to be it. Just like I called Kim Pam and I couldn't stop doing it. It's happened. Rick's name. If I call him Richard Allen, I apologize, but I've already got it stuck in my head. That's his name. I got to get it out. But Rick Snays.
Just heads up for me. You're to me, like StreamYard is acting up, and I can barely hear you. It's really choppy. So I'm not sure if it's cutting out or not.
Let me know in the live chat if you guys can hear me all right. But all right, so the drawing here is of Rick Snays' drawing, and he has this little he has a stick on the left side of Libby that kind of looks like a Y around the area of the wrist, right? And this branch here extends significantly higher than the horizontal branch that goes across where the neck is. Now, if you look at the drawing that Sleuth Intuition put out, there is that Y shape, but it is significantly higher, and the branch doesn't go that far above the horizontal branch. And if you look at the what appears to on Rick Snae's drawing look like a V connection. It's not really there on Sleuth Intuitions. In fact, it appears that he has one of these guys have drawn left or right stick with the 3 branches hanging out of it backwards. One of them has it facing up towards, the other one has it kind of going down and coming close to the other side to make it look like a Y on Rick Snae's. So that's the first thing that we notice. And then let's go look at Abby's.
Yeah. It looks like the math, like pi, you know what I mean? Like that symbol for pi.
Yeah.
This
looks more on the right side. That looks more like an F, like that F symbol, than it does anything else to me. What do you think? It's interesting. But all right.
Yeah.
What do you think about the F
I'm trying to listen,
representation?
but this thing's breaking up.
Am I everybody's saying I sound all right? It might be on your
What was
side.
that again?
Blue. Everybody's saying that I sound all right. It might be on your.
Yeah, it's my side. You know.
All right.
On my end, it sounds like muffled. So I'm trying to listen to your questions, but
do a
go right there.
Refresh it.
Oh. Let's see if it doesn't kick me out, and then I can't get back in.
Sent you a private message, sir. So, all right. While he does that and Blue takes care of that stuff, I'm gonna continue with this.
Like the sharp angle, and then it kind of goes straight down.
You know, that F could look like one of the either Anzus or Feiwu.
Yeah.
Because one of those is an F going up, the other is an F going down, or that could just be the letter F of the English alphabet. That doesn't make it a rune just because it looks like an F. That just could be an English F. I mean, or it could be a handprint.
And these don't look like runes to you?
No, absolutely not in any way, shape, or form. I don't see runic anything. Upside down, the one you have in the middle, the F thing in the middle, if you turned one of the F runes upside down and it was merged off or inverted, whatever you want to call it, yeah, you see, so it'd still be backwards and upside down, and that'd be the only thing in that configuration, man, that strikes me as.
Hey, check that out though, dude. When he did that, the rune that was on Libby, that looked more like an H. Don't that look kind of like an F to you too now? The one on the left side? Can you hear me, Blue? You're muted. So, yeah, I can hear you. What about the stick figure on the left side that he drew out? That was the one that was on top of Libby. It didn't look like an F before, but it clearly looks like an F now.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So, do you find it weird that if Sleuth Intuition's drawings are accurate, right? We have 2 different ones. We have Rick Snae's and Sleuth's, but if his are accurate, we have 3 different F type of formations here. We have the blood, then we have the middle one where if it's faced the other way, kind of looks like an F. And then you have this one where if you rotate it upside down, that definitely looks like an F. Do you think there's a connection there?
I see like an F and then a backwards F when you look at them all.
Well, look, so this is with it faced forward, right? And you have this F, obviously, in blood. This, the middle one looks like there's an F there, right? Do you see the F in the middle one?
Yeah.
And then you have the right rune, which don't show much, but when you flipped it upside down, that looks like an F too.
Yeah, it does.
Interesting.
That'd be the only thing in that configuration, man, that strikes me as runic in any way.
All right. So I think we got maybe about 15 more minutes left.
I'm here as long as other people need to know stuff. Because somebody doesn't agree with it. Besides my cat, I got laid in my lap.
I got 15, maybe 30 more to go here.
Okay.
Because there's still a lot of questions coming in. So I think that it'll take us probably that to get through these. Let's see. How does your club view interracial relationships?
The Vinlanders, nobody in the Vinlander had any interracial ordeals. Just like a lot of other people in standard society, you know, because somebody doesn't agree with it doesn't mean anything bad about them as a character or person. You know, there's tons of different kind of bears, but you don't see polar bears going out and being in relationships and breeding with black bears. You don't see red flying. You wouldn't be any kind of a probate or patch holder if that was the case. There's plenty of supporters that had mixed kids and other kids like that, but it's not as a patch holder. No.
Could you be a black person?
No. It was Europeans, man. That was it. There's plenty of all black clubs out there. There's plenty of groups that are all Mexican, Spanish clubs. This was one for the Europeans.
What were the circumstances of your discharge? This is a U.S. Marine person.
Medical retirement.
So, Blue, based on his description of what his club was, where would you classify it at?
What was the question again?
I hope you were paying attention to what he said.
Yeah,
based on the description of what his club allows and how they feel, what do you think? Where do you think you would classify his club as?
I would say racial biased. I can't say 100% racist, but it's leaning that way.
All right. Now, we also have to understand that he's trying to make his group, his side, look better, right? Which is why he's saying it's European, instead of saying it's white, right? Because if he said it was white, then it would definitely come off really, really bad, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, it would right away be called like a white supremacy group. And that puts them in a whole different chapter when it comes to the police.
Yep. So
investigations get filed right away.
So he was very careful about how he answered it. And it seems like maybe perhaps they've what's the word I'm looking for? Rehearsed this just in case they were ever asked a question similar to this. You know what I mean?
I was too busy reading about, because he said bears from other types of bears don't mate, and that's a lie.
You wanted to go back and fact check him on the polar bear and the black bear stuff he said?
Yeah, look, it's right here. It says 1874 at Haley, a series of successful mating and polar bear and brown bears were made. Such of these hybrids offering exhibited in London Zoological Society. So yes,
it's happening now actually with grizzly bears and polar bears, and they're coming out like the offspring of those two bears are dangerous because a polar bear is extremely dangerous animal. So is the grizzly bear.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was like Joe Rogan was talking about a polar bear attack one time where these guys had I think they were on like an iceberg or an island of ice, and they saw this polar bear coming at them, and there was nothing they could do. The thing ripped them to pieces. And so it's pretty terrifying. Grizzly bears, if you get them in the wrong time of the year too. So when you mix both of these two aggressive bears, put them together, I mean, you don't want to probably get anywhere near a hungry hybrid of a grizzly and polar bear. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Especially you don't want to be
Conspiracy,
nowhere
man,
near. Yeah, you don't want to be near Cocaine Bear either. So.
I just saw that movie, dude. That was an instant classic, cult classic. All right, let's continue this.
I got a full medical retirement from TBI issues, neural damage. Had something that was eating away at one of my legs real bad, constantly overseas.
All right, it goes into some stuff that really doesn't pertain into the case. Let me fast forward it. It's actually quite a bit before we get into something that's worthy.
There's a MC that is in the general area. I mean, you got clubs on one side of Delphi and clubs on the other side of Delphi, but there's no like outlaw clubs. There's no 1%ers, but there were MCs in the area. I know
Andrea
a few of them,
Griffin.
yeah.
Andrea Griffin says you might want to talk or interview less for your own protection.
I ain't got nothing to hide, nothing that needs protected from. There ain't nothing I want to say that's going to incriminate me. There ain't nothing to incriminate. No actions that need defending or being hid. I'm going to say whatever I need to say and as loud as I want to say it. And I want to stand here just unbelievably unapologetic about it because I'm not worried about anything.
What do you think about that answer, Blue? He's pretty confident in that. Do you think that he's being truthful there?
I think when it comes to the case, that they don't have anything on him. Not they would have already like brought him in for more investigation after what they've already done, and he hasn't been found guilty. He's not behind bars like Richard Allen is.
That's true. Blue, you come in with the fire every time. That is absolutely true. He's not been arrested or charged. There's reason for him to be confident.
Yeah, but
That's,
I mean, with all these accusations, I mean, it can stir up, investigations about his past. He said he had a sketchy past, and he spent time in jail.
Yeah, he's been considered like a white nationalist, racist, the whole 9 yards. And when you hear about how he talks about his clique, he doesn't go into it being like openly saying, yeah, we only accept white folks that don't intermingle with with other races. But that's essentially what he said when he said that, it's only Europeans and we won't allow somebody who was mixing with other races ordeal, I think is what the word he used. So, yeah, I mean, say what you want or paint it however you want to paint it. It doesn't change the fact of what the structure is. You know what I'm saying? So let's move forward. 105.
In the state, I don't even think the Indiana chapter even exists anymore after I turned in my colors and walked away. He went and joined some little jean jacket Vespa moped little club that he started somewhere in Indy, and I don't know what happened to him. I'd love to talk to the guy, but he was just a hang around supporter, and definitely a fun time with that little dude around, man. He's a character.
I'm going to take a quick little break. Pat, if you want to answer this last question, I'll be right back in 1 minute, okay?
So he was just talking about these motor clubs up to this point, which is why I fast forwarded. But the question that's on there, he's not going to read it out loud. It says, you said that Logan Holder was talking to Abby Williams online. Did you hear anything from Logan about Abby being harassed online?
Yeah, man, go ahead. Said that Logan Holder was talking to Abby online, but did you hear? No. Logan never made any comments, anything about the girl. I didn't find out that they were even talking with each other until after I was done with Brad Holder, done having him come around my house. And I do believe the situation with the girls had happened. I didn't even know that those two were even talking until afterwards. Logan didn't talk to me a lot. He didn't talk to anybody a lot. He wasn't Captain Get the Gab. He was just there because his dad brought him. Sometimes he had more of the aura about him that he didn't really want to be there. He's just coming along with DAD to hang out at my house for our get-togethers we had 2 or 3 times a month. But no, he never spoke about anything in that sense. just typical teenager ramble. And if he said anything to my kids, they never mention anything to me about it, but I'll be more than happy to ask my sons when one of them gets home from work and the other one comes home tomorrow from his girlfriend's house. I'll ask and try to find, I'll try to find your name in the comments if this question's in there, and I'll answer that, but I'll let you know I really will.
All right. What I miss?
I was just answering this thing about if Logan ever mentioned about Abby being harassed online or anything like that. And I didn't know or hear anything about it. Hot damn, bud, you disappeared. There you go.
Sorry.
Where are you at? 107. Let's go to 110. That's where I have it marked off at next.
Paid millions by cartels to fight to keep that thing open. Ain't nothing going to change, man. Nothing at all. You build a fence, they'll find a way to get over it.
So what they were talking about in between that, when I fast forward, it was the southern border and things that aren't pertaining to the Delphi case. That's why I fast forward.
You build it tall, they're going to start digging under it. You build the footers even deeper. There's always going to be something until you put a 1 mile stretch of sand full of landmines on the other side, like the wall around Guantanamo Bay. People ain't going to stop because people in this country don't want it to stop. Unfortunately.
Pookie says, do you know Anna Williams? That's Abby's mother.
If this is the one that I was thinking of, that I'm thinking of between the two girls' moms, one of these two girls, and I hate that I don't remember which one it was, but when I was still in the military, one of these girls' mom who had dated a guy who was like our supply sergeant or something, and that little girl used to sit in a car seat in the hallway next to my daughter because they were both the same age. Long time ago. We're talking 19 years ago. And once I saw her out in public after all this had happened. We saw her at one of the bars before I stopped going, and me and the woman I was with at the time had her come over to the table and sit down just because she looked like she needed someone to talk to and people around her, because she was just kind of sitting there and, the kind of mindset and you'd imagine a parent would be that lost one of their kids. So then it dawned on me who she was, and then she remembered exactly who I was, and we sat and chat and talked, and that was the only conversation we had, really. But I did know her.
You know anything about the Wolf Pack? I think it's a motorcycle club.
What do you think about that, Blue? All of a sudden, we're how long into this? This is the second interview that he does. We're an hour and 11 minutes into this one, and he decides to throw out that he knows one of the victims' moms, and had one of the victims used to go and hang out with his kids and stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. See, that to me, like, you could have said that in the beginning. Well, I've met your mom before, and you wait to the very end where you might have let it slip by accident.
Yeah, I'm leaning the latter. I mean, maybe nobody asked him, right? Do you know any of the victims? Do you know any of their mothers? Maybe that's something that hasn't been asked of him up until this point. But I would assume that if there is some sort of connection there and you're trying to clear your name or whatever, you would bring that up.
Yeah.
Right. We're not trying to hide anything. He did bring it up. He did disclose it. So I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, he remembered who she was. And of course, in a small town like that, you might know because of the circumstances. But honestly, till this day, I don't think I've seen a picture of the moms or the dads of the girls. Not like the Kohberger case where we've seen the families. Well, we've seen like two families.
Well, the families have been out and about, and they've made their what's the word I'm looking for? They've been on different types of platforms, media, and stuff like that. But this case happened in 2017, right? So it's been a while. So, a we missed a lot of stuff because we didn't start talking about this until Richard Allen was arrested. So, there's a lot of stuff we haven't seen personally, but yeah, the families have been very vocal about things up to, this point. It's just, we haven't seen it because we started covering this real late. All right, well, let's continue this real quick.
That took so long. Here we go. So here is a picture of the gentleman. And I guess he sued Carroll County and won. He won like 50 grand.
In this flag, its conception,
I'm going to rewind.
how it came about, why it came about. I really wouldn't think that's something I need to answer on this podcast about these girls and everything surrounding my name, but I agree with you, LeMay. They need another history.
All right, sorry that took so long. Here we go. So here is a picture of the gentleman. And I guess he sued Carroll County and won. He won like 50 grand or something like
Good.
that. He won a big lawsuit against them.
For something to do with this case?
Yeah.
This is Woodrow. I can't remember his last name. Let me know in the live chat if you guys know what this guy's name is. I had it earlier. I just can't remember what his name was. But apparently, this is a guy who's been speaking up here recently, and he has a channel as well. And on his channel, he has a recording of a couple of people who are talking about certain details of the crime scene before they were released. Woodhouse, there you go. And that conversation isn't anything nefarious, like people that are involved in it, but they're just talking about the scene because they have obviously seen pictures and things of that nature. But yeah, he also on his channel claims to be an Odinism practitioner or something like that, or a priest. So what do you call it? Westfield claims he doesn't know him though. Well, I'll let you guys hear it.
Yeah, I guess they were going to call him as a witness to kind of talk about how bad it is, to be locked up in Carroll County. And I think they sent him all of the discovery, like the crime scene images and all that stuff by mistake. And it may have inadvertently caused a leak of the crime scene photos.
I can agree with them about how bad it is there. I went into that.
Did you hear that, Blue? You're muted. Did you hear what he said?
I didn't hear that last part.
He said basically that he had sued Delphi and I'll replay it.
Or something like that. He won a big law. All right, sorry that took so long. Here we go. So here is a picture of the gentleman. And I guess he sued Carroll County and won. He won like 50 grand or something like that. He won a big lawsuit against them.
For something to do with this case?
Yeah, I guess they were going to call him as a witness to kind of talk about how bad it is, to be locked up in Carroll County. And I think they sent him all of the discovery, like the crime scene images and all that stuff by mistake. And it may have inadvertently caused a leak of the crime scene photos.
So according to Sleuth Intuition, Brandon Woodhouse is the reason why there's leaks of the crime scene photos out and about, because he was accidentally sent them when the defense, I believe it was the defense, had inquired about a statement from him. And so they accidentally sent him the entire case.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, man. That's a big clerical error.
No duh, man. That's true. That's insane, man. But so, I know a lot of people have been pointing at one thing or another as far as, why these crime scene photos are out and about. Was it the defense team leaking them out? Was it the, law enforcement leaking it out so that they can take off and so they can have Richard Allen's lawyers be taken off the case? Apparently, it was the defense, and it wasn't on something purposefully. It was by accident, but that's a pretty big accident, in my opinion. So let's continue this.
I can agree with them about how bad it is there. I went into that jail at probably 320 pounds, a little bit meatier than I am now. And within 70 something days, I came out of that jail at about 190 pounds because they feed you that little. I was there towards the end of the year. The heater had went out in our cell block area and they didn't fix it at all the whole time I was there. You laid in.
All righty, Blue. I'm gonna need you to man the fort. I'm gonna press play on this, but I'll be back.
Bed all night, shivering. You know, when you're breathing, you can see it coming out because it's so cold in the room. You'd lay there just shivering in pain all freaking night long. When the sunlight came through the windows and give a little bit of warmth in there, that was the best time of the day. It was absolutely a shit show in that jail with how little they fed you and the environment of it. You know, they'll give you these neat little phones you can text people on for 10 cents a text. So, you know, you can get real-time updated information from friends back home, which honestly, that helped a lot when you're in jail. You want to know what's going on at home, man, with your family and everything, but their treatment there was bad. I left that place a shadow of what I looked like, and my mental health was shit. Kind of part of the reason why I came home and shit went down the way it did with my wife at the time and got more charges within 48 hours of being out. I came out of that place psycho as shit. I'll agree with that guy about that part of it.
Here's one from Dark Arts by Adrian. Patrick, who do you think killed Abby and Libby?
I'll say exactly like I did during the phone interview. I think somebody that has to do within this governmental city council, law enforcement, you know, group of people. They're all looking outward for somebody. In my personal opinion, I think they should be looking in. I say that's a fact. I've never said that's no guaranteed case, but I think they need to be looking inward just as hard as they're looking outward. And I think that's why they haven't found what they're looking for, or the option exists that I've heard.
He's basically saying that he thinks it's a cop, right? You know, look inward.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean,
That's what I took from it.
There says that there is that cop Odin group, so it could be, or it could be a cop covering for them. It's part of the group.
Yeah, but if that was the case, I don't think he would shine light on the cop that's covering on his group. I got to think about this one. Like, does he know something, or is he trying to just throw, do some misdirection? Right? That's the question that comes up with this. Is it he knows something, or is this a misdirection type of thing? Is he trying to get us to look in a different area and blame
He's trying to
enforcement?
Jazz hands.
Spirit fingers. Let's continue this. We're almost done with it.
Rumors about someone who was dealing drugs, doing dirt, doing crime in town, and some stuff that went bad, and this is retaliation that might have went too far and whatnot. And just because the picture on the Delphi Bridge is some dude walking there, everyone now has been looking for a middle-aged white guy that fits that description, that body build, that size, everything like that. And no one is looking at the fact that if there was some kind of drug dealing crime going on, they might not even be looking for a European guy. That might not even be who did this. That there was comments about there was more of the video where the bridge guy's statements were guys down the hill. Have you guys know that wasn't some dude saying be careful, there's some guys down the hill.
Now he's justifying the guy on the bridge and saying that it probably was somebody of a different race that committed this crime.
Yeah.
I don't like it. What do you think, Blue?
I don't know. You can barely see the skin tone, but it looks light skin tone to me.
No, he's saying that the guy that was on the bridge was Caucasian, but what he's saying is that is it possible that the guy on the bridge was saying there's guys down the hill instead of saying to those poor victims, guys go down the hill.
Yeah.
And then he's throwing in more saying that he's saying it may not have been a European. Let's put it the way what he meant to say. It may not have been a white guy. Right? He's saying it was probably not a white guy. It was probably somebody of a different race. I don't know, my man.
And there could have been some people down there waiting to pounce that weren't even middle-aged white dudes. And people, that first bit of information that was released, everyone has stayed on that. There's a term for it when you latch on to the first thing that you can see and you know for sure, and you stay on that without looking elsewhere.
Tunnel vision.
I don't know.
Travis Sandifer. Does that name ring any bells? That's from Pookie.
Yeah. That's somebody from out there in Carroll County, I'm assuming.
I think they live in Delphi.
I live in Delphi.
Now, one thing that I did want to mention, Blue, you know, when I left to go fix a seal that was broken, he had mentioned something about, oh man, I think I forgot where I was going with that. When I left, what were they talking about, Blue? Oh, I remember. So he mentioned that he lost significant weight while being in the jail there.
Yeah. So
Do you think that? Yeah, Richard Allen's lost some weight as well. Do you think he's coming up with an excuse against Richard Allen? Like by saying that, do you think that, I don't know.
No, he did. He did punt to it. He's like how he lost weight and also how his mental health wasn't good when it came out either.
You see, I think that to me, that reeks of, you know, if this guy says anything about anybody, it's probably not real because they treat you like crap there. You lose a lot of weight and you go crazy. So if he were to say eventually that he was a part of an Odinist group or something, it's just craziness. That's the vibe that I get when I hear it. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's more like, I think he's still trying to stick blame to Richard Allen. So he's like, oh, I lost weight there too. And my mental health wasn't the best when I left either. So that way he can't say that Richard Allen's being treated bad by the guards. That it happened.
Well, I think he is saying that Richard Allen is getting treated bad. I mean, he's saying that everybody is getting treated bad there.
Yeah.
And
I mean, you're in jail, you're not, or prison. I think he's being held in prison. You're not going to get a 5-star meal.
no, maybe he should claim he's vegan. Have you seen what that diet has done to Bryan Kohberger? That guy looks healthier every time we see him.
I told you that he has to get the good food, he has to claim he's Jewish. Yeah, and that's what the trick is in prison. They claim to be Jewish, and the rabbi just has to sign off on the paper, and they get kosher meals. And
Well, I thought kosher was just like blessed by a rabbi. I didn't really mean
No,
it was a better meal.
it was a better meal.
Really? I didn't know
Yeah.
that. That's interesting. Let's continue this. We're at 121. So we got to go to 121.50.
More for Pat. Do you think if this is an Odinist, it is one of the Loki worshippers? Thank you.
Not even though Rokers, as I call them, even though someone on here wanted to just completely argue that that's not ever physically possible because they hold a one and only book of what can and can't happen with Ostrich, apparently. I don't even know of any time where a Roker, the Lokians, ever had anything that's like kill people, sacrifice people. It ain't part of Ostrich, man. I think that's more of like people watch Vikings TV show and they're like latching onto that kind of shit. I know there was ceremonies back in ancient times where, you know, the nine sheep, 9 cows, 9 pigs, 9 humans. From what I understand, that did happen. But in hundreds of years, there's not no human sacrifices, even with the Rokers when it comes to Ostrich. And
What this reminds me of, Blue, is Bohemian Grove. You know, in Bohemian Grove incident, there was a bunch of politicians, rich, wealthy people that were part of this group out in California. And I think it was actually Alex Jones who ended up getting a camera in one of their meetings where they were sacrificing I guess like a woman, but it was made out of sticks.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And the thing is, At one point, that wasn't the woman made out of sticks. At one point in time, that was an actual person. So then the question comes in is, that might be what the majority is practicing right now. But if you had somebody who was a originalist or a perfectionist or a guy that's just lost it and wants to recreate something where he thinks that he has to go to the original, sacrifice, and commit something from old times, is, I think that's highly possible, especially if you end up mixing like, alcohol, drugs, or prescription medications, things of that nature. I think that those things could end up making, you add that into, wanting to be accepted, wanting to be received by a certain group. I can see an extremist. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it can be. Some people go just as far as they have to just to get in, right? People go past that just to be accepted.
100%.
Oh, and not even the Odinism, the prison issue, also true, guys, that it's not even anything that is part of their belief of it. Really, really never heard that. Human sacrifice, maybe a chicken.
In the memorandum, they try to talk about human sacrifice in Norse paganism, and they talk a little bit about this. I think this is even referred to as an exhibit that they want to bring into the courtroom, a painting by Brad Holder. And it looks like those discs things you were referring to are down here. So apparently they're trying to tie this and the girl's possibly being strung up by some type of rope or something. And they're saying this might be what happened.
Yeah. First time I saw this, the first thing and the only thing that came into my mind was Odin hanging himself from the tree of the 9 realms. And so he could drink from one of the wells at the bottom that were, to get the power of the runes, to learn the magic of the runes. So it could be something they passed around to everybody else, kind of like the, who was it? The god that gave fire to man and was cast out of paradise, for Prometheus or some shit. I can't remember, but same concept. Hung himself, injured himself, gave up his eye, the drink of knowledge. That's what I thought this was. I didn't associate with anything. And,
man, this paganism stuff does have a lot of like correlation with Christianity. Somebody being casted out of heaven, that's Lucifer, Prometheus. There's a lot of stuff there. You know what I mean? Thank you, Gail, for your $5 super chat, super sticker. We appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Gail.
You got it, Big Blue. All right, let's try to. Yeah, we're almost done with this.
oh, if that's a rune that Brad liked a lot, that's a rune that Brad liked a lot.
But that's not the angle that the F on that tree would be anyway. Let me pull that back up. So you said there's two different. You got the one with the angled downward and then angled upward.
Yes, sir. There's Anzus and Feiwu. There's two different ones. One is the letter F, and even low, it looks like an F. The other one looks like an F, but it's actually the letter A. So, at least as far as my knowledge serves me, so there's two different ones of those. I can't really see where this shit on that one. Oh, that's the downward. Is that not Anzus?
Mm-hmm. That's what it looks like.
Okay. So, I don't know why Brad drew that, what his thought process was behind it, but I wish I did. I wish I could give you more information on it, man. I really do.
All right, let's go one more, Pat, and then I got to get out of here.
Okay.
Let me see if I can pick a good one.
So he ends up going through some of those, and he doesn't get a good one until 128.
Because I'm on my motorcycle all the time, and it's just good music.
Okay, here's the last one from Cold Truth. Pat, have you seen the other image Brad supposedly had on his Facebook that the defense wrote about in the memorandum? I think she's referring to, it was an image of two young girls who were laying down and they had sticks laid over them. And the defense is trying to say that it was very similar to the crime scene.
The defense is also saying the fact that I touched a tree is similar. I haven't seen the photo, but with the way the defense is twisting and stretching the hell out of everything, reaching for straws so far away, I'd have to see that photo before I can have any thought or opinion on it. It's creepy as hell, nonetheless, to hear about it. But I'd really need to see it, man, beforehand, because I'm actually trying to see a photo of that, see what this Odin report actually has in it and how bad he twisted and, pulled stuff just to make that memorandum look the way it did towards me. It's creepy as hell that drawing was there. And if it's anything close to what the defense is saying, that is some creepy shit.
Right.
And it definitely should be looked into. There ain't no joke about it, because if that man had something to do with this.
But the thing is, I don't think we can believe what the defense is saying. We've already proven that they can stretch things. But yeah, if that is true, hell yeah, that's really scary.
He's got a motive. He absolutely has a motive. He has an agenda. He has a purpose. And I get it. It's his job. It still don't mean I won't agree with how he went about it, what he did to me, what is going on with my kids, friends, and family, the shit he caused at my job. There's entire shifts threatening to do some walkout and call corporate and do some big stage walkout if they don't get this pagan cult leader killer and shit out of the building. Like,
well, they didn't talk about
why he did it.
They didn't talk about your polygraph though either. They didn't talk about the fact that they could have said everything that they said and then also mentioned, well, he did take a 4-hour polygraph that he passed.
I think it'd been fair. It would have been absolutely fair to throw that information in there and at least paint the picture differently than the guy who's crouched in the corner with snarling fangs and teeth and shit, like exactly how he painted me. You're right. I took a 4.5-hour polygraph. I gave DNA. They didn't subpoena me. They didn't force me to come in there. I did it willingly. I walked into a damn lockdown facility, a place that you're not getting back out of until they want you to come back out of it, to help out in any way, shape, or form that I could and put any thoughts to rest that there might be there. Just to turn around and have that stuff left out. I don't know if the state police didn't tell that guy or put it in the original report or how it went, but dude, there was at least a month that had went by since that polygraph happened. I would bet a little bit of money, if I was a gambling man, that the defense team did know that polygraph existed and chose to leave it out intentionally.
What do you think about that, Big Blue? That he took a 4.5 polygraph test. He came forward himself, gave up his DNA, the whole 9 yards. Do you think that adds some sort of credibility to his story?
It can, yeah. I mean, he passed the polygraph test. His DNA is not found. But, the whole time he's been blaming somebody else, so.
See, for me, I think there's a few things that I personally think. I think that he may have suspected Brad Holder. I don't know if he knows if Brad Holder is involved or not, but I think he sees the connections, which is why when they asked him if, his buddy was involved, he started looking down and doing those things. I think he's unaware if Elvis Fields committed this crime or not. I think Elvis Fields was more attracted to Brad Holder than he was Patrick Westfield. In fact, Brad Holder was the guy that he was idolizing online, right? And so I think that he sees those things and sees a connection there. I'm not saying that he's being completely honest or dishonest in his statements. I don't think personally, based on all the information that's out there, that he was personally involved or had prior knowledge to it. But I do think that when you talk about Brad Holder, he was the one that brought up, the motive as to why somebody would have been, why these two girls' lives were taken. And he brought up the motive. He brought up the connection to Patrick Westfall, and he even said it was his crew, according to Amber Holder, his wife. So I think maybe perhaps there's a suspicion there that Brad Holder might have been involved. Nothing that is concrete that would have gotten him to fail polygraph. What do you think?
Yeah. He might have been there, but maybe he was just watching.
Well, I don't think he was there. I don't think he watched because I don't think he'd pass a polygraph because I think that would be one of the questions asked. Like, were you there? Were you aware? Did you know this was going on? Something of that nature. All right, let's finish this out. We're almost done.
And that's what they're accusing the prosecution of doing, is leaving out information. But remember, they're not in an actual trial. They want to They want to put you through a trial on social media is what they're doing.
Yep. Sway public opinion. It's witness tampering, evidence tampering. I mean, that's some serious level shit. And I hope foot to ass on all of them that were involved in it, because it's caused a lot of problems. It don't matter what I say, what I do. This image is stuck there now. It's going to hover above my kid's head now. I mean, how in the hell are you going to shake this off of you? Especially, I mean, like you said, dude, you look at me on paper, bro.
It looks bad.
I'm a serious dude. It ain't no joke. I'm a monster on paper. And there's times in my life I've been a monster in real person, but you know.
Well, we know that he didn't turn his life around until after 2019. So was he a monster in 2017? Thank you, Eric. We appreciate that. Thank you. He says $10 super chat. Thanks, boys and chat. Thank you, chat. We appreciate you guys as well, and all our mods and members and new members. We appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
People love knowing an asshole like me is was in the military, so they could stay safe in their beds, not have to worry about the boogeyman coming to their door, because they took boogeymen like me and sent them to other people's doors. But now that I'm back on the streets, it's snarl guy with teeth in the corner, whatever.
All right. Anything you want to leave the viewers with before we get out of here?
No, not right now. I think everybody.
And so they're completed with the conversation of any importance. Make sure if you guys are interested in this and want to see the full thing, go check out Sleuth Intuition. This is his channel at Sleuth Intuition. This is the right here, the kind of hard to show the thumbnail for it because it's kind of small, but it is it'll say Delphi Murders, a live Q&A with Patrick Westfall. So go check that out. Go look at that. Big Blue, overall, what are your final thoughts on Patrick Westfall's interview in totality? What do you got to say about it?
I mean, we found out that he passed the polygraph test, so that's one plus that, you know, he might be innocent. But he was trying to throw some blame on the other guys, so, and he was ducking some of the questions, so something's still suspicious about him. I mean, I'm not saying he committed a crime, but maybe he knows something more than what he's saying.
I agree. I do think that there's the possibility. I think he well, not so much the possibility of him knowing something. I think he suspects or knows something about Brad Holder that he's not disclosing. You know, if he is as bad as of a guy as he says he's been and has gone to prison as many times as he's claimed he has, which I think there's probably evidence out there, but there's a certain code that goes on, right? And that code is, you don't snitch, right? So, I don't know, maybe he's not being a snitch. Thank you. Lead with love. Don't forget tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern, there's a hearing televised. We'll be checking it out. We'll be watching it. If there ends up being cameras in the courtroom or anything that's visible, we'll talk about it. I'll probably do a live tomorrow sometime in the afternoon referencing that case. And I want to say thank you to everybody who enjoyed the show. Big Blue, do you got any final words for everybody before we let everybody go?
No, take care. Y'all be safe out there. Remember, don't drink and drive.
100%, man.
Drink and get driven. Be the passenger princess.
True story. Psychopaths can pass. Go ahead.
Or in my story, I'm the passenger prince.
The PP? That's what they call you, PP? Passenger prince? I don't think you want to be called the PP anywhere. All right, Mike King says psychopaths can pass lie detectors because they don't care. That's true, 100%. Well, that being said, we'll be back probably tomorrow talking about what happened in the Richard Allen hearing. See y'all then.
Take care, guys.
I got check marks, but it's not ending yet.
It takes a few.